Hello and welcome back to The House That Happens, recorded live at Shuey's Bar and Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke, voted 4 times the best dive bar in the GTA, but for our money, it's the best dive bar in the entire universe. Hi, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz.
And The House That Happens is the home of the scheduled loss, but more on that later.
Oh yes, definitely it is. But I can see by the schedule of our surroundings, we're still going to be a little bit away before we're all sitting around the bar having a drink. Agreed?
Yes, and speaking of schedule, this is the only time for the next 4 years that we'll be able to say that we recorded on this day. It's Leap Day when we're recording February 29th. Only a day that only exists every 4 years, depending on if it's like the century mark. There's some exceptions there, but
I don't even know, but they said if it wasn't here that summer would be in October or something. I don't know how that works.
Well, just because the days get shifted around, right?
I don't know. I
really
think the sun comes up and goes down, right? I guess the world keeps spinning.
But the Earth's rotation around the sun is technically 365 days in one quarter, right? So you got to make up for that quarter somehow.
Okay, I'm glad that we're on board for something that's scientific, not that we're known for our Einsteinian contributions to the world.
No, definitely not.
However, I will say this, that the weather has been rather odd, and if someone can tell me which one it is, I keep getting it
El
mixed.
Nino.
It's El Nino. Yeah. Is that what it is?
The sister,
Thank
cousin,
you. The sister,
aunt,
okay.
Whatever.
So there, babe, forever girl, if you're listening, I knew it had something to do with male and female, but I didn't want to frame it that way because I'd get in trouble.
Oh, sure.
Okay, you know what I mean? If I didn't say it right, especially me having the reputation of being the nicest, most civil positivity guy we can ever have, so to speak, right?
Oh, sure. But yeah, it's been crazy. Like some warm days, some cold days. There was a little bit of snow today. Thankfully, it didn't stick around. But
yesterday, the temperature dropped 16 degrees in 4 hours.
Yeah, the flash freeze warnings.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I hope everyone was safe.
Love you, Mother Nature. Love you, Mother Nature.
So, yeah, by the way.
Yes, yeah.
Also, by the way, I want to shout out Humber College, the Hawks winning double gold in volleyball this past weekend. Men's and women's both capturing the provincial gold medal. Men's, that was their 4th in a row. Women's, that was their 3rd in a row. And for the women, just a crazy string of success for that team. We wish them all the best for nationals. I know the men are going to BC, and I believe the women are going to Alberta in about a week's time.
Congratulations to Humber. Way to keep yourself on the map. And then, behave yourself and represent Etobicoke great when you go around the country.
Absolutely. And I believe the men's basketball team will be playing for their provincial gold medal this weekend. So best of luck to them as well.
We're the 3 H's, Humber and House That Happens, all come into line, correct? Is that a good way to put it? Good luck this weekend, Hawks.
Roll Hawks, Hawks till I die.
There you go. Sounds good. You know what I mean?
Of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Formula One starting on technically tomorrow, I guess, with qualifying. But then the race will be on Saturday. A bit of a different look, but we're all looking forward to the Bahrain Grand Prix. The first of 24 races this season, the first time that F1 will have 24 races in a season. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton's going to be his last season with Mercedes. It's going to be Carlos Sainz last season with Ferrari. And, of course, our buddy Christian Horner is free, as he is only now allegedly a douchebag.
Okay, that's what I want to look at. First, I want to shout out to your dad, Mr. Milani, for having the agreement with me to say that it is absolutely absurd that those guys are driving one car knowing next year that they're going to hate those guys because they're in another car. In any other sport does this go on? So he's I'm already watching the practice, people. It's pretty cool. I think there's some sandbagging. Like Mercedes looks pretty good when they already said they're starting up there.
Well, and everyone was freaking out that Ricardo had the best time in free practice 1.
In the other Red Bull car, right?
The Red Bull Junior car,
yes. So that's another. What's interesting about Formula One this year is going to not only have those absurd storylines going on for all season long, you're also going to have this second Red Bull car, I think, is going to create some controversy over this period of 24 races. I don't know how.
It depends how well they finish, because let's be real.
If they finish high, everyone's going to cry, because they cry. Notice in Formula One, they cry quick.
Everyone does when they're not winning.
Yes, they cry quick. You know what I mean? And I understand, because there's only 24 races. Did you say? There's only 24 kicks at the can, and it's the next best thing to football season when you think about it, except it's 17, and they don't have a Super Bowl. So it goes about the same amount of weeks.
Is the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right? So in the end there, but I was watching the practice already, and when you look at it, this is reality TV and this is entertainment. Correct? But just talking to all the people with their prognostications and their what if and who does and where are they going. And you know what I mean? You're going, and all these guys are driving in these cars this year, and 1 year from now, we don't even know where they're going to be sitting. Well, we do know we're going to be there.
Well, Lewis, we know he's going to be with Ferrari. Sainz is kind of up in the air. I have a sneaking suspicion he'll be going to Sauber, but I mean, like, don't count him out for that seat in Mercedes. You know, it's silly season, right? That's what they like to call it.
We'll get more on that, but before we go, the other, of course, the extreme storyline that we had to deal with, which we mentioned in the show previously, was the Christian Horner situation and his allegations about his character and behavior.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say this much. Everything's alleged, even though, in my humble opinion, and we at the house do not tolerate any type of activity of this manner. But as I said to you earlier, and I don't like to bring this up, is the fact that sometimes people are Teflon, bro. I smelt this one from the beginning.
Right, but I mean, the comments from Ford might have put a little bit of a wrinkle in that theory, don't you think?
In this...
Where the CEO, I believe, of Ford, who's going to be working with Red Bull for next engines, next regulations in 2026, basically said, like, we need to get to the bottom of this as well, which kind of makes you think that maybe this wasn't such a kangaroo court situation. Well,
I looked at it this way, and I'm going to find it where I'm going to go back in time, and I told you off camera, and I will say this again. When the perpetrator is the one that gets aggressive, he usually has a card up their sleeve that says, you're not going to get me. And this is what the case, I believe, happened with Christian Horner. I'm not saying that he's innocent and completely innocent and all of that,
right.
But I think whatever happened is something that's... in this equity, inclusion, social justice, whatever, I think he stepped over the line in that way. That's probably what ended up happening. I wonder if Zach Brown had anything to do with it. He's looking really sad on the practice track today. You know what I mean?
I mean, the amount of people that wanted him to be guilty of this is just crazy.
Oh, monumental. And you know what? The guy that runs Ferrari...
Sorry?
The guy in Ferrari, he made a crack on his press conference today, or the Mercedes guy. They're all taking stabs at the guy. So we don't know what happened. Let's get it there. But I'm just saying, in some situations in sports, like he's not Vander Franco in Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? He's not even in Florida yet.
Right.
Okay, why is he not in Florida? Well, he can't leave the country yet, and we know why. So, I mean, there's different degrees of stupidity on the level of people are not respecting other people. However, I hated to say it in the beginning, but I just had this one when I did a little research, see who's connected, what did he really do? He didn't do anything illegal. That was the main thing. And as soon as I heard that, I said, this guy's going to slide. Too much money at the top of the pyramid to be playing around with that piece of pie. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's right.
No, and it looks like it could be part of a power play as well.
Yes, because there was.
Does that mean that the Red Bull empire is falling? Maybe I'm looking into it a little bit too much, but maybe.
We're going to find out by the time we get into a dozen races or so.
If Adrian Newey ends up leaving for Ferrari, you heard it here first.
His name, he'd have to come up. It's my two favorite names in the story if there was a side plot. What's his name again?
Adrian Newey.
And Zach Brown. Just because they're polar opposites of what could affect Red Bull in many ways in the contest of higher competition. That's enough about them, though.
Either way, it's going to be a great race this weekend. I'm expecting a win from Max and Ferrari, shocker. Or Max and Red Bull, excuse me, shocker, I know. But I'm expecting big things from Ferrari this year.
Well, they were up there too on the practice out there. Their car was their car was spoken very highly of, and we should know because tomorrow's a qualifying. And like you said, I didn't realize. I'm looking at the numbers and the practice and stuff like that, and they were all over the board except for the few that jumped out, like Ricardo having that lap at that speed, and both Mercedes cars being at the top of the list. But we got a long way to go before we get to 3.
Absolutely, it's the big. I guess X factor though is that junior Red Bull team. How many points are they going to be able to grab this year? That's going to be the big question. Are they going to be passing McLaren? Are they going to be passing Aston Martin?
Wow,
those are the big questions I'm looking out for.
Interesting storylines. Yes, it is.
A lot to follow. And it's a long season. Formula One is not going anywhere. It's going to be here till December. We're going to be talking that but a lot.
Thank you.
But we're going to move this on to another alleged douchebag situation here in the CFL. This time we mentioned the Chad Kelly allegations. Now it's come out that the CFL will be opening up their own investigation into the situation.
Which means that this guy's probably crossed bigger lines than Christian Horner, if I'm willing to agree. But can I just say something about, first of all, I miss football already. You know what I mean? There should be like, you know, it was a Super Bowl, it was the end of the season. No, man, there's nothing good about the end of football season.
What do you mean? There's the UFL that you can watch.
Okay, but I don't drink light beer either.
St. Louis Battlehawks, that's an amazing name.
Yeah, okay, whatever, but I miss football. And the golf has been junk. So what do I do on Sunday?
Well,
that means I have
for the
to
first
sit down.
major, right?
No, the Players is coming in about 10 days, so we're good.
Okay,
the Players which is
basically a major.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. But
biggest
anyways,
cash prize of any of the tournaments, right?
Yes, it is. I miss football, but I don't miss the fact that this Kelly guy, who's supposed to be the quarterback on a franchise that's supposed to be the most successful in the city as we speak, right? Even though they blew it in the Eastern Conference Finals, they still have a team that has potential to go right back to the Grey Cup.
Yep.
Draw the fan base, keep the city excited, and this
guy's been building momentum. Let's not forget.
Exactly, and here we go. And now we have this guy putting a stain on the whole operation. I only hope is that maybe it's not as bad as it's advertised, but I'm willing to believe when we see this guy's track record, I'm gonna say what the alleged is gonna end up being the real. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, that's what I'm scared of, so to speak.
Yeah, obviously a big can of worms here that we may or may not be finding more out about. We'll keep you informed on that. But we will be moving on.
Well, there's just one thing that we should be jumping out to say really quick, too, because we mentioned it before. But that is going back to collegiate basketball in the United States of America.
Yes.
Miss Caitlin Clark is now the greatest scorer in the history of the game.
Yes.
That's
Past,
just amazing.
Pistol Pete Maravich.
Yes, which was around when I was a kid. That was a high school. It was a long time ago.
Did not play in the ABA.
No, he did not. I thought he did, but I forgot he played in Utah, which was the franchise team at the time.
New Orleans at the time, too.
Yeah. And then they went to
Utah.
They went to Utah and all that time and all there. But that's just an amazing feat. I think that anytime that someone does greatness for an extended period of time and gets their name on the top of the mantle, we here at the House That Happens will shout out and say congratulations. But speaking of college basketball, it would be remiss of me, Cruz, who everyone knows I can't wait to the March Madness and that first Thursday when they start playing. Forget the Tuesdays, that's more teams coming in, but you better figure it out when you're picking your bracket. And we at the house will have a bracket. But I just want to shout out real quick because we'll do it a little bit later. But it's now Leap Day, right?
Yes, it is.
So it'll be the first time on tape that I'm talking about it. And we do know that the top four in the country are Houston, Purdue, University of Connecticut, the defending champions, and Tennessee. First thing I'm going to tell the general public is this. I doubt if two of those teams will make the Final Four. I will pick one. I will say one of the four will make it.
Seniors?
No, just because the parity is so huge, those teams might run into a team that's going to hit them, and they haven't proven to me they know what to do in those times of crisis. They always lose.
Fair enough.
But if I would take one of the four, I would say Houston is a team I would take to the Final Four. Everyone's saying, why am I not Connecticut? Because nobody's repeated as champion since a long time. So is this the year he pulls a Mahomes and
well, you can go back to the Final Four in back-to-back years.
That's true too, but I'm still saying
Winning
I don't. I think they're going to get upset in the Elite Eight that goes to the Final Four. However, this is my first thing, and we got about 3 or 4 weeks to go, and I have a big statement the next show to say about this because we're getting closer to tournament time. My two sleepers already, and I'm going to say them here now, is I think Creighton and South Carolina could be people that you put on your brackets that go a long way. You heard it here first. And don't forget about coaches and Shaka coaches at Marquette. If you know anything about college basketball, you know what I'm talking about. And that's all we got to say about that till next show.
Well, and you were all over Marquette last year. You had
and
them
they puked it, but
they did puke it up.
Yes, but they brought everybody back. That's pretty much they didn't lose money.
No,
I hope not. I hope not. And they did take a beating when they had the first big game against Connecticut. They went into Connecticut's house and they got slapped. Like, I mean, you lose, but then there's that freaking, you know what I mean? Beating of a beating in any event, you know what I'm saying? So, but we can get back to something a little bit more local. Didn't we have something?
Well, before that, I want to get to a recent issue that's come up in college sports where if you watch the Wake Forest-Duke game.
Oh, yes.
I believe it was this past weekend, right?
Yes.
The fans at Wake Forest stormed the court after beating Duke and ran into one of the players, obviously raising concerns about injuries and all that. The big question is, should storming the court, storming the field be banned in sports? I'm a definitive yes on this.
Okay, if you don't say yes to this, then you're kind of crazy because
You're kind of an asshole too.
exactly. But it all, there's no. I don't want to try to sugarcoat this or anything like that. But I just do want to let you know that Filipowski, the Duke guy that was so severely injured in the attack on the field, played his usual 29 minutes in the very next game that happened, which is neither here nor there because it could have been much more serious, and that's the particular.
Well, the way he was ran into as well. If you haven't seen the video,
yes, okay,
look at it,
I still say
could have been a lot worse.
Yes, it could have, and the same thing with Caitlin.
Yes,
I thought hers was even worse. So we at the house that happens. We can only say one thing: you got to slow it down, kids. It's like everything else in life. It's a lot of fun till you add humans.
Well, it's all fun and games till someone gets hurt.
There you go. Like whatever cliche you want to use, but here at the house that happens, we're going to say we're going to pass on storming, and that should be for football too.
Absolutely.
If we're going to do it, let's just say across the board to do it. But I used to hear stories like, why didn't it happen as much when I was younger? And I think about it, yes, no, and maybe so. But that was money for the football guys to be security on the sides of the court back in the day. I did not know that. I heard it again. I heard some urban legend and know some people said that's the way it is. But we shouldn't have to resort to having that kind of security. We're all common people in this a common sense age where you should know better than to run down and perhaps maybe impede somebody who is trying to develop a career that may help them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I agree. The house that happens is a no on storming the court. We'll move it on to something local. As you alluded to before, Toronto FC began their season on Sunday, opening up in Cincinnati. It was a 0-0 draw. Goalkeeper Sean Johnson with the 5-save clean sheet.
Wait a second here. What if they had started in Toronto this season? Did you see what the weather was that night?
In Cincinnati?
No, what the weather was like here in Toronto. Okay, so why couldn't they go play in the Dome that night? I think it doesn't work in the Dome? No. So
because isn't the Dome still probably under construction for the renovations?
Oh, they're just
and the Dome, and Rogers has made it pretty clear they don't want anyone else in there besides
baseball.
Yeah.
Okay,
the Argos got kicked out.
I know.
I haven't seen a soccer game in the Dome in a long time either.
I'm just saying that it must be hard. Like I know the fan base is rabid, crazy, whatever. But Serge, you out there? If we had gone, you would have said, "Hey, Cruzy, you want to go down to the game? We got an extra ticket." But what was it, 12 below, and we'd be at BMO by the lake. You wouldn't have got off the couch for that kind of stuff. Are
Bundle
you
up.
crazy? No, I ain't bundled up. So doesn't that affect your fan base? Like every time I hear about
City, Toronto, come
exactly.
on.
So why don't they just move the schedule at least another month? What is it going to affect?
Well, I mean,
okay, I'm going to put it this way.
Well, then the playoffs. The problem with MLS is that the playoffs already go into December, right?
Oh, that's true too. Okay, but let's put it this way. I'm going to ask just a question, and we'll go on. Thank God, Toronto FC, good start, got a tie on the road.
Got a point. Yep.
Okay, so we'll always take that. But okay, let's just say now. We know what the draw is in MLS. We know the big draw is the guy in the pink uniform. Okay. Now, you're going to tell me the guy in the pink uniform is going to come up to play in Toronto the last weekend in February when it's minus 16 off Lake Ontario? I think he's going to do some freaking load management that day. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm going. Like, it really weirds me out that in places like it's not here because they got a team in Minnesota too, right? But they do play in a dome.
I was going to say that Minnesota, they do different there.
Yes, I'm saying. But you know what I mean? Isn't that weird for Toronto now in a month? It doesn't matter because it's going to be like European weather anyway. So soccer gets played. If it's a little cold, it's a little rainy, it's a little drizzly. But come on, don't they have rules? Like if it gets like minus something, can't find your balls?
Well, I know.
Come on.
I know Toronto FC, they do have a little bit of a away heavy schedule early in the season because they do play their home opener March 9th against Charlotte. But
that's 10 days away.
It is, but it's a lot of road games that they're starting out with. I know that. So
that might be good because I'm predicting this, everybody, and you're going to hate me. And I'm not a groundhog, and I haven't talked to what's her name, El Nini, but I'm saying I think March is going to be the worst month of winter that we're going to have.
Don't you dare say
that.
Well,
we shouldn't be bitching about it because January and February, we got through that like nothing. So I think Old Man Winter is just going to give us a bitch slap and say, remind you, we didn't need all that salt in the ground all this year. You know what I mean?
And by the way, Toronto FC will be in action next Sunday against the New England Revolution in New England.
Okay, so we've spent that much time on the Toronto FC because just letting people know in Toronto that the house that happens is kind of Toronto-centric. Okay,
we know that.
Okay, now how come we haven't brought anything up about the
PWHL? Before that, one more thing in soccer.
Oh, right.
Pogba.
Yeah.
Getting a 4-year ban for testing positive for testosterone. He is going to fight that. But if this goes through, that's his career basically. He's 30 right now. By the time this band's over, he's going to be 34.
Done. That's a lot of money too, isn't it?
It's a big hit for Juventus. It's a big hit for the French national team.
Did they say, what is this? Is that human growth hormone? Because that's the one they throw the book at you for, isn't it?
It just said testosterone.
Yeah, well, you get the most testosterone from. Yeah, Stallone got busted or paid somebody off a few years ago. That's the big one.
He's an actor, so I mean, it's...
Yeah, but you can't even, not even supposed to be allowed to take that from country to country or something.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he got some kind of, I don't know. But anyways,
oh, yeah,
this
you're
is
smuggling
serious.
drugs, essentially.
Yeah, whatever this stuff is. So it's a drag to do that. But I mean, that just tells you about how people are, I'm not saying they're desperate, but anyways, once you get that scent of doing greatness and you think you get something that take you over the top, I don't know. I've never been in that position. I wonder what the lure is to make you decide to take something like that.
Well, I think it's a lot more prominent than we can imagine.
Oh, I think so too, because everybody knows the flushing. The Kobe, God bless his soul. Everyone knows when Kobe went to Switzerland, like something.
What he was doing, yeah.
Yeah, but he stayed there long enough till he did that 2 swishes with the that extra centrifugal force, and then they put the blood back in, and Kobe's clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly what went on there.
Yeah,
and
usually these guys will do it in the off season too, because they'll test you during that time.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anyway, I feel sorry for the guy. However, if you think that he was doing this to get an advantage on everybody else, how do we feel sorry for him?
I mean, it's a broken system, and that's why we're all here for the what's it called again? The not Elite Games. What's it called again? I'm blanking already. We talked about this a few years ago, or a few months ago, or weeks ago, whatever it is.
What
was it called? The Olympics with steroids.
That's
Enhanced
right.
Games.
Yeah, okay. Maybe they should have the enhanced soccer.
Hey, add that to the docket. Have him captain the French team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he have to just have him captain like it's just 2 teams there?
So is he banned from everything in
all
soccer?
FIFA sanctioned events.
Wow, and
that's where all the money is.
Of course, it is. Yeah. FIFA, those corrupt.
Oh yeah, they've not done one corrupt thing in their entire lives. But
exactly.
You were alluding to something else local.
Yes, and that's what I was saying, that we should okay, first of all, you do want people to listen and hope that they're interested into subjects you're talking about. So this is a border one line here at the house, and everyone's going to know why, especially knowing me and whatever, but why aren't we talking about the PWHL mid-season and the success of the league so far, and where is the Toronto franchise sit going into what is going to be some of the weirdest rules they make going into the playoffs, which is why I brought this all up.
Sure.
Okay, you know what I mean? Now, supposedly they have healthy attendance, averaging I think 5,000 around the league.
The Canadian teams, at least, for sure.
Yes, but I always say this. I hate to be bringing something back to the part, but the caveat is they've got one there where they can take one Toronto game, drew 19-5 when they played at Scotiabank Arena. And if you level that out about everybody, it brings up the attendance, because I think it's kind of weird when you have a team that plays in 2 home arenas. How does that work? So when the university's got a game, the other one, you got to go to the other place. And I think in New York, they're playing on Long Island on 2 places, aren't they? Playing on Long Island?
Yeah, so I know they play where the Islanders play. That's one of the venues. I'm not sure where the other one is.
Well, and they still don't have any logos. They're not talking about expansion next year, but they are talking about the fact that they are being really stable. And I hate to be the guy that takes it like this, but here's how I'm looking at you people, okay, out there. I said, I hope that everybody keeps showing up, because once the shine wears off, I wonder what's going to happen to some of these franchises. So the thing that's got me is that they've already said no expansion immediately, which is they're smart, because...
Although I heard there have been a couple cities that are interested, but
I still say...
Start slow.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why you jump? Their projections are 30% under what they would be taking in on a financial basis. They missed that by, I heard, 30%, and the season's only half done. Mm-hmm. So that means that if their expenditures was, say, 6, they got 9 kind of deal. So That's amazing. And they're getting exposure on TV. I've tried to watch a couple games.
Well, that's the biggest thing about this league compared to, the previous, I forgot what, whatever they've been called the previous women's leagues in the past. Just the marketing of this one is
unbelievable,
head and shoulders above everything else.
Unbelievable.
It's easy access for the games, especially here in Canada on TSN. I believe you can stream them on the CBC website as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyways, do you know a name of anybody on one of the teams?
Toronto has Natalie Spooner. She's the leading goal scorer.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good.
Sarah Nurse is on Toronto as well.
Oh right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna brush up on girls, so I'll know some of your names. But what really intrigued me is I wanted to bring this up is, can you imagine in the NHL if they did these 2 things? First of all, if you come in first place, you can pick the team that you want to play in the playoffs. I love the concept because that generates instant animosity. Don't you agree?
Yeah, this is one that people have been talking about. I know the NBA has been actually talking about actually doing this in the
Brothers
future.
ain't doing that, man. That's fist fights in the parking lot. That ain't happening.
This one I actually think is out of the two that we're going to talk about, I actually think this is the one of the two that's more palpable, I guess.
Yes, they did it in baseball. Remember they had to do it in baseball? You get the pick. Remember they were saying if you in the division and in the playoffs or in the round robin game at the beginning, you pick who you play.
Baseball? What are you talking about?
In the baseball, remember at that thing where because they have the extra. Isn't there something you can pick in baseball?
No. It's fixed.
But
Like
they talked about it, didn't they? And then everyone scrapped it. They scrapped it because of the animosity level. That's why I'm bringing it up, because I think it's a great idea.
I think so too, especially with the women's.
I'm not playing. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not playing. But you're calling the other guys out right away. I think I can kick your ass.
But
That's 3 degrees away from WWE. When I see you down there, I'm going to kick your ass.
No, let's not blow us out of proportion. You have a choice between two teams if you're the number one seed. You don't even get the 2 seeds not available. You're choosing between the 3 and the 4 seed.
So that Montreal play Toronto, they'll be hoping like that, because if the season ended today, Toronto's in 3rd place.
Yes.
So then, and Montreal's in 1st place. Do you think they would pick Toronto just because? Which would make it more interesting.
Maybe. Okay. I mean, I won't count that out completely. I think that'd be fun.
I think it would make it fun and more for the league. But that being said, and I don't want to spend a ton of time, and girls, look, we are giving you guys some props. But the other one I heard, which I even go, I don't know how this one's going to roll, bro, but now you're eliminated from the playoffs. But you have games left.
Yes.
If you get the most points, you get the number 1 draft choice.
Well, you start building up points from the moment you're eliminated from playoff contention.
Okay, so what if you're ahead of the other guys? Then of course you're going to get more points, maybe, right? Or you just suck that battle.
No, but what if you're behind them by like 10 points, and then you start building up points earlier than them, right? That's what you're kind of looking at. My problem with this is that this is an idea that like it looks great on paper. You're like, oh, you're actually kind of earning that number 1 pick. The problem is you're playing for someone that's going to steal your job next year. How motivated are you really going to be, right? I mean, you're just playing for a contract anyways. I don't think these players really need that extra motivation. It sounds cool on paper, but at the end of the day, I think this is kind of moot at best.
I don't think it'll ever get off the ground because there's just too many levels. That's one. You're talking about how the players feel. Just because there's gambling involved, there's so much gambling on the games that people are talking about.
Well, not
the
in the women's league.
Well, no, but I mean that's why it would never go. That's why I think they could try to do something. Like imagine at the NHL general managers meeting and Dale Talon come out and said, "I got this great idea about the draft." Along with that fly.
It'd be left out of the room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's done. So,
well, we know the NHL already doesn't like to take too many risks with their own draft lottery.
There you go.
They thought 3 picks for the lottery was too crazy. That to scale it back to 2, right?
Yeah.
Well, the NBA went the other direction. They went to 4, but regardless, this is an idea where I don't think this is part of the long-term plan. At least I would hope not. Mind you, it's only like it's 2 teams playing for this number 1 pick, so it's maybe again like it's a moot point at best.
And you know what's crazy though when you think about it is that this excitement has been generated over about only 16 games. They've only played 16 games.
Yes.
So what I'm have to say, and kudos for them for getting there. We're talking about it. They're on TV. They're getting press. They're trying to be innovative.
Yeah.
Isn't that what every new company or product tries to be in this world of 2024? So I'll give them credit.
And my friend Sarah, she was at the game at Scotiabank that they had, and it looked electric. She said it was a fantastic game, had a fantastic time. I wish it was more than just one game that they played there, honestly, just because, like, I hate that they play at Mattamy. Was it like 2,500? Like, that's a joke.
No, but I thought their attendance was it only holds that many people?
That's it.
Well, how come Toronto's attendance is 4,000 on average?
Probably because the one at Scotiabank bumped up the average.
That's what I'm saying.
It's 20,000 basically, right?
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not. I don't want to be the devil's advocate, but I'm just saying, like, I'm glad that they're pushing the shine. I think it's Stan Castian, ex-NHL guy, that's the commissioner of the league, so to speak.
Sure.
I like the way he talks in that, like, we got to walk before we run. He keeps saying that because everyone's
Well,
going.
that's where a lot of the other women's leagues kind of failed in the past.
Exactly. So I really like the fact that he says, no, let's hold back on this and hold back on that, because like I say, this is the result of 16 games. You can't be talking about what's going on in 3 years from now. Let's get through the first season, girls. Keep going in the positive momentum you've got right now. Build upon it in a couple years, add more teams.
Although the one thing I want to add is the Toronto arena situation here. I think this is just kind of forcing the issue that we might need to build another kind of like a mid-sized arena here in Toronto.
Won't happen.
We need one. Especially even for concerts, too, because a lot of, like, not-so-big acts, they'll completely skip. They'll go to Oshawa, not Toronto, just because, like, we don't have the venue.
Okay, so what's going to happen? That in-between venue is going to be right down the street here. It's called Woodbine Casino. They put a theater in there, and that's where all the concert goers are going to go. And on the east end, they got the new place called History, which is the in-between place, and it holds about 4,000. Around there. So they're not going to, the people that are inventing
I would say, like, you need like a 10,000 seat one.
You ain't getting that built in Toronto until they get, because you know what they're going to need the money for? The football field, bro. The football field.
Hold on. There isn't even a football team here. I'm building a football
telling
field.
you now, we are within the stone's throw. I've been saying it forever. I miss football, bro. So now that I got a chance to bring it up, I'm going to remind everybody that listens to the House That Happens that I, Cruz, believe that the new stadium will be built with less than 10 kilometers from where I am sitting in this chair, as long as Doug Ford wins the next election by a majority. So everybody vote for him just because we want a football team.
I don't know if
Forget
that's going to happen.
Everything else.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll keep it local here. Obviously, somewhat local, since our Toronto Blue Jays are playing in the Cactus League in Florida. Alek Manoah had his first start of the season.
Stop it already.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about the stats here. 1.2 inning, 1 2/3 innings played. He allowed 3 hits, 4 earned runs, didn't strike out anybody, and allowed a walk. How concerned should we be?
Be about concerned as Milwaukee is when Corbin Burns walked out for his start and pitched 1 1/3, walked 3, gave up 3, and only threw so many pitches, if I may be a smart ass about it. But welcome to spring training in your first outing. Shit may happen. His velocity was there. He looked like he's in shape.
The control wasn't.
No, so that means, but I'm going to say now, if you remember this time last year, and I've heard people say it, which is the big caveat in the room, or the elephant in the room, is when he started like this last year, we always said, once he gets through spring training, he'll be fine. He needs a few more pitches, he'll be fine. Now he doesn't have that room for people talking about that, because after that disaster we called last season, and now he's come up and he's looking in shape and his beard's thicker and whatever, and he throws a tomato can like he did, he's going to get lots of people being skeptical. But I say give him a few more starts, because a few more times before we judge, because the good thing about it is that his velocity and that kind of stuff is up or even higher than it was in his supposedly prime. So those are the main things that you look for.
Well, he's young. I hope this is still his prime.
Oh, of course it is. He's only 25. And the thing is, you got to remember, too, is he's had to learn to adjust to a lot of pitchers do, which if you've seen around the league, if you look at it, there's a little a thread of inconsistency in the fact that these guys didn't adjust to the pitch clock as quick as some others. So you know what I mean? So if you go back and check Manoah, I did not realize what of a bit of a slow pitcher that he was.
Sure.
So he was trying to tighten up without having his command or his control, got frustrated. We know the rest, but I'm saying it's only one outing. You know what I mean? If I got a guy like Nate Pearson, do you see his first outing? Or a couple of our relievers that are supposed to be there, like Amy Garcia and a couple of these boys that are supposed
Nate
to be
Pearson,
there.
I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith in him.
Oh, really? Because you've seen his first outing, I guess.
Even before coming into this season, he's been touted as one of our top prospects. You can only be touted as one of our top prospects for so long before I start to wonder what's really going on here.
Okay, well, you know what? If someone offers me a bag of an extra base and some used gloves for him during spring training, I'm making the move. Let's look. This is okay. Look, here's what happened. Okay, if he doesn't, he scares me more than Manoah in this way. He was Manoah 5 years ago. Then he had the arm problem. Then he brought him back. He was supposed to come in. He had more arm problems. Then we said we could move him into the reliever role. So he came in and looked like he had the stuff to be the guy that could be the closer. His arm fell off again. Still couldn't get his act together. Now can he give us a couple of eat-up innings? He did it once, did it twice. It got shelled again. Now, like you said, we can't wait for that anymore, because eventually comes that contract. We got to pay him, because he's about 24, 25 now, right?
Yeah, he's
Or
not.
how many years?
Yeah.
And they got to do something with him. Either they got to farm him out and nobody takes him, or your career is over, unfortunately. But I'd be more worried about him because he was the guy who was supposed to have the big arm, remember?
Yeah, but again, this is starter versus reliever, though, right?
Well, that was them. But I'm saying back in the day, he was Manoah in that he was supposed to be the big starter. Just
Sure, but that's in the past, though.
Okay, so are we supposed to be worried that Tendeman guy hasn't started?
Tiedemann?
Yeah, because of the hamstring. Are we worried about him yet?
I'm getting a little worried.
Well, I think it's way too early. I'm worried about the guys that are supposed to be. Now, let's put it this way.
You're worried, though, that he's going to be a step behind. That's the problem.
Oh, okay,
right?
I agree, but I mean, there's a difference if you're a starter than a reliever, which I'm glad you brought up astutely. My thing is this: the only thing about doing this on Leap Day, February 29th, 2024, is we got a shorter span between our last show, but we got a little bit longer span till we get back next weekend, correct?
Sure.
So that's going to extend the amount of cactus fruit games that are grapefruit league games that we're going to see. So we'll have a greater understanding of who's doing what and why. And they're going to start dropping guys down to the like AAA and here, there as it gets along because they got to tighten it up.
Right.
So what worries me is sometimes I hope it's guys working on pitches that don't work and that's why they're getting smacked, or they're just stretching their arms out and they don't care. So if a guy gets a few hits, they're just getting loose. You know, pitchers say that all the time. But I think in 10 days from now, we'll have a better read or vibe.
I hope.
And I'm praying for Manoah. What's starting to worry me about this team more than anything
Well, one thing about Manoah I just wanted to bring up before we move past the subject is if this does continue to be an issue, which very well may be, knowing Manoah's recent history, and I don't want you to answer this question now. This is like something to keep in mind for the future. Did he lose too much weight? Because it's a comfort thing.
CC Sabathia brought it up best. When he lost weight, he said he threw the ball over the bark.
Exactly.
He went back to the barbecue and everything worked out fine. Okay, so we can't answer that question. That's what I'm saying. We might even have a better understanding in 10 days. Because you know what happens? You know what? He can't be. Obviously, let's look at the Blue Jays. Even though they've done some really weird shit over this offseason, we have to look at it this way, okay? I can't believe that they had Manoah penciled in as one of our 5 starters for starters. He should be like a prospect or a project because we don't know. He just farmed out completely last year. So when you're coming into the season with that many question marks, you think, okay, well, we know Manoah's going to be another 5 starter. Did you think like that at the end of last season? You automatically had him penned in?
You would hope.
No, I didn't. I hoped that he'd come in and make the team because he's on a make-the-team basis right now. And where is he at? His first outing.
Well, to make the team, he's going to be a starter. You're not going to put him in the pen.
Okay, but I'm saying that Casey doesn't. We've already got 5 guys that can start, correct? Don't we not?
Well, now that Tiedemann's kind of like...
Well, no. What else do we have? Don't we have 5 already?
No. Tiedemann would be our 6th. Manoah's our number 5.
Oh, that's right. But we got one more kid, too. What's his name that's coming up? They might push him. I just seen him today. But that doesn't matter. We'll know in the 10 days.
Sure.
We'll have a lot more take a look at what's going to go on. What's concerning me more about this team and baseball in general is, let's just take a look at why do we have to hear so much about we've got a new view about this team. If we all get better, then we will be better as a team. If we got this in the clubhouse, we'll be better as a team. Now, I remember sometimes last year on this show, I said, sometimes I think the clubhouse smells.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
And then they said, well, what about performance? What about people getting along? Now I've heard Springer, Guerrero, Justin Turner's coming in. He was great on one of the shows this week talking about just staying around and hanging out with the guys and seeing how they feel and stuff like that.
He was on Overdrive, right?
Yeah, it was on Overdrive, yeah. So that's what it was. And he was a great, I like how his take on baseball is amazing, by the way. And
great
it's
interview. I listened to that.
And the way that he is about baseball. But what does that tell you? That told you that maybe we were right. If these little things that they say they had to change in the clubhouse, we could see it going out on the field. So we're not saying that we're experts, but I mean, I've been watching baseball for 50 years. I know what I could see.
Well, you don't have to be an expert to read body language in the
Oh,
dugout.
exactly. And who's sitting by who and the separation between players and then the lack of concentration and then the base running errors because nobody's focused. And maybe the focus is in the press box and not in the dugout because Schneider's got his hands tied. Like, Guerrero, do you got to tell me you got to play like you're 20 in 2021? Just go out and do it. I think that the leader of this team is still Bo. And everything that he's had to say, and including something I heard Springer had to say, is most important to me, and that's this. Clean up the bullshit and let's play baseball. That's what it boils down to. And I'm thinking the thing that the Toronto Blue Jays have to work on, which we're just discussing, which is makes you nervous, is the fact that its pitching is supposed to be the name of the game. And I think I said this stat just on the weekend. I'll remind everybody. They just had the MLB Power Rankings, the top 10. Do you know who's in the top 10?
The Blue Jays.
They're number 10. But you know there's three.
Can you put your phone on silent, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that's doing it. It usually doesn't do that. I'll turn it off anyways. That's how much respect I have for it. And anyways, like I said, and I don't understand the power rankings, okay? I don't understand them sometimes because what's the Yankees' rotation? It doesn't even look close to ours. They didn't make the playoffs last year, and they're ranked higher than us in the power rankings.
They had a good offseason.
Well, that's what they're saying, but so it's all based on potential, right? So the potential of our guys to play better.
That's all you can really do
for
for your first power ranking, right? You have nothing else to really go off of.
Well, that's why I'm saying.
Which is why I don't like doing power rankings early in the season, which we have not, to our credit.
Okay, thank you. But that's what I'm saying. In the first one that came out, there's 4 teams from the American League East in the top 10, and we were number 4. Which makes sense. Oh, because I'd say Baltimore should be there, but why is Tampa Bay to be in there?
Respect.
Okay, well, you don't get respect when we're at number 10, so that's much respect that we should get. Okay, I'll put it that way. But I'm saying I don't think that things are completely done here, and I'm still of the belief that I wouldn't be surprised if Chapman ends up at third base for us. That's not over. And here's the other thing that's starting to change the face-off. And I love to hear this because Tony Kornheiser said it when he was talking about when Bellinger signed, which we'll get to in a second as he goes. Is it true that Scott Boras could be the devil? I absolutely love that statement because what happens is we now know that these contracts are being pushed by Boras at unbelievable levels at guys at the interim of their careers. Like none of these guys are super young. When you look at them all, Bellinger, Chapman, Snell, they're all what? They're all in
at least 30.
Yeah, okay. And they're all looking for long-term big money. Like Bellinger's contract, what we'll talk about in a second, like they're starting at 150 for that guy. So what's Chapman asking, $100?
I mean, yeah.
I still heard that the Toronto Blue Jays gave him a significant offer. Like they forgot about because at the end of the season there was some things said in-house why Schneider's gone and a couple other guys. Like some things were said, got a little ugly in the dugout, and maybe Chapman said some things louder than everybody else, and maybe that's why they're never going to sign him to bring him back in the house.
Possibly.
You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, if they're offering him contracts, I mean, I guess the door's not completely closed.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so I would you take him back? Here's the thing: is like I've talked to people. Oh, why do we want him? You can't do this or that. I'm going to remind
you need someone to play third base. It's a lot better than.
And I'm going to keep telling people, if you take away him at third base and they have a revolving door, it's going to affect the ERA of every starter on the Toronto Blue Jays. That's what I'm going to say.
The problem is bad, though. That's the thing, right?
Well, you know what we just have to do is, like I said, my same theory from the last show, and I'm not going to jack it up, but I want 3% better from everybody.
That's still ludicrous.
That's Dalton Varsho. That's Kiermaier. That's Guerrero. That's Bichette could have 3% more, and that's in don't be injured so much and play more games because he still missed, his 20 games last year, 25 games he missed?
But I don't think Springer's going to, if anything, Springer's going to be projecting downwards.
Okay, but I mean, he can get a few more DH guys if we can have those guys that can rotate because one thing that we heard Justin Turner say we got 1 million guys that can play infield, outfield, which is great. You know what I mean? Because what's his name? Our buddy that played second base with the glasses?
Schneider.
Yeah. He's been playing a lot of left. Every time I turn to the TV, he's in left field.
That doesn't make sense.
Well, that's because they want to put that guy we got from the Yankees at second base because we're smart enough to realize we don't want to take that much defense away from our pitching. That's my theory. I'm not saying that that's practical because we don't have enough offense to begin with.
The problem is you're taking defense away from your outfield like that, too.
Well, I'm just saying
there's no perfect solution, which really has me worried about this Jays season.
Oh, you named it right there. You hit the nail on the head. But I'm saying this is that we got 150 games out of Springer last year.
Yeah.
And with his injury history, that was like, wow, we got it. Because we only got 130 some out of him.
But his production wasn't that great. That's the thing.
Yeah, it was his lowest since his rookie season. So what I'm saying is that we'll give him a little more DH time. We rotate the guys around once in a while. However, it all is based on this.
But the thing is, though, if you're giving him DH time, that's at-bats you're taking away from either Vladdy or Justin Turner.
So Turner says he'll go out and spell a guy at first or whatever. Well, I don't know how they're going to work it out. But let's talk about after 20 games. The 20-game barometer will tell us where we're at. And if we're not playing defense, the pitchers are going to be pissed. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's going to be a 500 season for the Blue Jays. I hate to say it, but
Okay, so
81-81. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm hoping they do a little bit more. But anyways, one of the things that has come up before we get away from baseball is the fact that they really quickly here is, do you think that there should be a signing deadline in Major League Baseball? Now, there's not really one in the other sports, but there kind of is because there's a salary cap. So everybody knows they've got to do it, okay? So,
well, that's why I'm thinking that, like, with the next CBA, I brought this up before, the MLB will definitely have a salary cap.
never.
100%.
I
100%.
don't. You think so? I don't.
100%.
I think it'll be the weakest salary cap, and I think it'll be a salary cap in name only. This is God
I think it's going
bless
to be closer
America.
to the NBA's than the NHL's.
I think it's going to be like the original NBA one, which was so loose and wide open, it really wasn't
I mean,
a
the
cap.
NBA one is already pretty loose.
Okay, but I mean, now they've tightened it up twice. If you go back when they first put the salary cap in the NBA, that was loose.
Like in
as
the 80s?
Yeah, that was looser than loose. Okay, I get it. I think that's as far as.
But something has to be done.
Well, I think they're already doing it now by they're saying F you to Boris. And these guys are
I
contracts.
don't think that's a
and they're
long-term
getting
solution, though.
So what it's saying is we have a situation where they're signing a lot of young guys that have potential to a little less money, but earlier in their career.
Yes.
And they're not going those guys that are mid-career, giving them those mad contracts. So obviously, somebody went into a room and sat down and says, how are we handling this, boys? And if you look around the MLB, which is a copycat league like every other league, we are seeing this coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Because how many young guys have been signed by how many teams, and how many good players are still sitting out there?
Yeah.
People don't realize there's a bucket load, I think it's 25 guys that would either be starters or regulars or a piece of a rotation or bullpen sitting on the market as we speak, and no one's touching them. And what's the date today? Oh, yeah.
February 29th.
The leap year day, which I'm glad I'm here to say, because I think you're right. Something's got to shake, but what's it going to be? So they don't have an MLB signing date?
Again, but like you're just, I
Or free
don't think
agent
that's a good
signing date.
solution either. 'Cause,
Okay,
like,
so
guys-
you leave guys to hang, because here's the
Yeah,
theory
that's
I
the
had.
problem.
Here's a theory I heard, and I thought this was amazing. You have to have it. You got to sign your free agents by the time the winter meetings are done. That's December. You're 6
No,
weeks.
that's too long. That's not enough time.
Okay, so we go January 1st. Okay.
No.
Okay, so when do you want to go? February 1st?
At least until the start of spring. No, actually, I take that back. No signing deadline. That's ridiculous.
Okay, because that protects the players.
Yeah.
That's all it does. So if we want to have some kind of salary cap, then you're gonna be contradicting yourself in this way, because the owners are going, we do want to have a signing one so that we can determine what we could do with our budgets when these guys like Boris are jacking us around. So let's look at it this way. That's how I'm seeing it. Now, I don't think it's going to come to fruition. I think you're right. Okay, like you just said, throw it out the window, forget about it. That's what I think is going to happen in this way. The proposal was you got till. You don't like the date. So they said,
I don't think it benefits anyone, team or players.
oh, I think it does
I think,
in
no,
this way.
it handicaps you. I think
Who does it handicap? It handicaps the players, not the owners. That's
I
what
think it handicaps the team as well, because like all of a sudden you're putting like an arbitrary deadline in place for you to fix up your team. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that.
Okay, I'm not saying it's not, but okay, so when you don't have this bananas bullshit that's happening here right now with all these players out there, what do? I kind of like this in a weird kind of 1984 FU kind of way. Is this, let's just have a random date. January 15th.
Okay.
That's the end of your free agent signing. Whatever you want to sign a guy for. If you do not sign him by January 15th, every other player that gets signed after January 15th only gets a 1-year contract. And then we start the cycle over again next year.
Again,
because
that's
means,
an arbitrary thing. I don't
well,
like
I
that.
think that's a balance for the players and the owners, because you can't.
Neither side would agree to that.
I think the owners would, because it's all players oriented now. They brought a couple of these things up, and the players
But again,
said,
no, I think you're handicapping the GMs.
the GM brought it forward. They said they would deal with this. The MLB, the union did not answer. On the last one that I've just talked about,
Yeah.
when that got put on the table, they got no reply from the players. No reply. So
Well,
what does
there you
that
go.
tell you? Players want it both ways. We want to have the ability to get the long contract, but we want to do it with the way that we want to do it. And the owners are going, we got to worry about things like TV contracts, product, schedule, blah, 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 who we marketing, all that
That's
kind
why
of nonsense.
salary cap's the answer.
I don't think we'll ever have a salary cap in baseball.
It's going to happen next CBA. You watch.
Okay, well, that's the argument here at the house that happens. Is there anything else we want? There's one other thing.
I think we covered it all basically. Just wanted to give.
One more. Yeah, before we do that. as we were talking about my 3% increase in everyone in the Blue Jays, here's a little statistic. Would you take this? And this is why I'll say the Jays will get better offensively. I will take Vladimir Guerrero hitting 35 home runs as long as he bats over 300.
Of course you take that.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. What did he hit last year? How many
Not
home
300.
runs? Did he hit 35 home runs?
What do you have, like 25?
Whatever the case may be. Is he capable of 35 home runs?
Of course he's
and hit
capable.
300? So that's my final point on the Blue Jays. So I want Kiermaier to do a little less than what Vladdy does, but a little more than what he did. I want Varsho to hit 25. That's not
He's the one I'm worried about.
Okay, well, that's if they
Plus,
all pick it up. Kurt has his season like he did before. Biggio's going to have to pick up wherever he goes.
He's another one I'm worried about. He's never hit for average.
Okay.
Davis Schneider, are we going to be able to see production from him over a full season? That's another big question mark.
So
George Springer, how's he going to project this year?
3% is all I'm asking from every guy on the team. I'm not asking for 5 because you're right. You said I was pushing it and trying to really stress these guys out before the season started.
I'd say even this group, 3% is...
But if they were to get 3% increase on everything they did, that would be enough offense for them to compete with the present pitching staff the way it's presently constructed, and they'll be able to maintain some modicum of the same defense they had last year, which is one of the reasons that they still were able to make the playoffs. Because you got to still play D.
Of course.
Okay, so that's how I'm looking at the Jays. Isn't that the most positive outlook we could take? Or here's the other option. Last place in the American League East.
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the Red Sox are going to be better than people give them credit for this year.
I do too. I think they made enough moves. But when our preseason baseball extravaganza comes, we will discuss all that when the time comes. Anything else you'd like to yell about baseball?
We just want to show some love to Eric Swanson and his family. His 4-year-old son, Toby, got hit by a car. Swanson left the team to be with his family, but thankfully his son is in stable condition, so we wish him a speedy recovery.
All the positive vibes, likings, prayers, or whatever it is that you do to make something feel better for somebody else, we wish extend to you, young Toby Swanson. Grew up to be a big, strong kid. You know what I mean? Just tells you how quickly life changes, people. Life is valuable. Good luck, Toby. Good luck to you, Eric Swanson. Big shout out from the house that happens.
And we also want to mention the Fanatics uniforms. Like I predicted, the players already a little bit unhappy.
Revolting. And you know what? Some of the late night comedians are starting to make a little bit of jokes on it, but that's because they're taking it to next level, okay? With the see-through things, but then they're always showing the part where you can see the label from one part of the uniform to the other, and then make jokes with the whole, whatever you want to take it, body, bullshit, whatever. But yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to it as much as you were until I seen it on LBB Networks the other day, and guys were talking about it, and I went, ooh, this is a little bit more than I originally thought.
And it's a little bit of a view into the crystal ball into one of our favorites here at the House That Happens, the NHL.
Oh, yes, here we go.
So big topic of discussion this week is fighting in hockey. Has it been on the rise? Although the numbers this season say no over the long haul. Like the projections is that we're actually going to finish about 50 or so fights less than last season, which saw a slight uptick from the season before. It has been a crazy week, but that's just because Matt Rempe, the rookie on the Rangers, has made it his goal to fight just about everyone in the league.
He's gotten some nice black eyes out of it, too.
I saw the one, the Oliver in Columbus.
Yes, okay. So
but the one against Philly, that was the fight.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a pay-per-view. Okay, in any event, I was the one that put this forward because we've had talks over the years about fighting's place in hockey, okay? And I'm of the belief that I've said I don't think fighting should ever be taken out of hockey. Okay, I'm still going to go there because hockey's got to police itself. But something.
I think that's bullshit, but.
Okay, then you tell me why. And I'm going to give
you. The refs should be policing the game. That's their job.
Okay, well, it never works out that way in hockey. And we get a myriad of reasons why we could discuss it.
Eye in the sky referee would fix a lot.
What's that?
The eye in the sky referee. Have a video ref upstairs. That would fix a lot.
If that's going to do it. But I think sometimes shit happens where it's instantaneous. Now let's get away from, because you know what, I'm seeing more stage fighting. So when you sent me that thing about fights in the NHL, here's how I graded them. Bullshit. You're having a stage fight in the first 10 minutes of the first period because they tell you when the fight is. For 10 minutes of the first period, that's a stage fight. That's probably bullshit. The guy didn't like you from the last game, Lowry, Uyghur. There's a bunch of guys, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So that makes me go, that's the part of the game you don't like. I don't like that either because that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. If you're squaring off, at the first 10 minutes of the first period, guess what? That's a stage fight. That's the part we don't need to get in the game. Agreed?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me just kind of like solidify my point here. Not that I want fighting. You're never going to get rid of fighting completely in sport, and let alone like any professional sport.
Right.
It should be a game misconduct, not a 5-minute major. I will hold firm on that.
So it means you don't get the power play?
You're out of the game if you fight.
Oh, okay. Not a 5-minute major. Oh, like
Out of the game.
Okay, you're rough. You're younger than me. I'm the guy that's trying to point out where we're going.
Well, we're
with
talking
this.
about player safety.
Well,
I'm
I'm getting there. So now I'm starting to say that, okay, this guy's come in here, and okay, now a lot of the fights that I see that look legit to me are the ones somehow in the second period, because somebody did somebody to something else and something had to be handled. Okay, so I get those fights. Like if somebody got your back to you and they drill you into the boards from behind.
Yeah.
I'm hey, motherfucker, you can't do that. Now we have a problem, so we're going to solve it. The ref has no time to solve it. He's already calling the penalty. But we got to deal with you, guy. You can't get away with that. That's what I'm saying. I'll go there. And the other fights that we see, if you check the diamond on that, is the last 5 minutes of the third period. And you know what I mean?
Garbage time, yeah.
You got it. So if you really, because I checked it, I'm glad you sent me that site. But I just
Hockeyfights.com?
Yeah, and so then I started looking at the times of the fights, looking at the principals who were fighting in it. Because here's the real problem, which I forgot who I read or brought this up. So let's think about this. College hockey, banned fighting. Most of the junior hockey leagues, banned. Not in Ontario, though, is it?
I think they're trending that way,
but
which I think they should be.
But the WCL, WHL, they still got fighting in there.
Quebec is the one that banned it first.
Okay, yeah, because that's Quebec. That's another story.
Well, leave that out of it. Like,
okay,
these are young men.
Okay, agreed.
And we're talking about head trauma,
discussion.
which is very serious.
Okay, I'm going to give you that too. But here's the deal now. So where is this guy going to learn to fight? He doesn't. So the problem with this Rempe guy is the medias are blowing this thing up.
Agreed.
And this is a New York City thing. This is like Vinsanity or something. You got a guy come in from the wild, wild west, and he's going to fight everybody. He's John Wayne, John Cassavetes, and Charles Bronson rolled into one. But here's the problem with the guy. When you've never learned to fight on the way up, you got guys in the league that have got some crafty thing about fighting. Now, let's just take a look at this list here. Lowry from the Jets. Reeves from Toronto. Perry, who now plays for the Oilers. Uyghur, who plays for Calgary. And my boy, Aberjacki.
You always brutalize his name.
Okay, whatever.
Jack Guy,
whatever. He knows I love the guy. My point is this. Those guys don't look to fight every game.
I mean, you can't. You're not going to survive in the league.
Thank you very much. So I'm thinking what the media should be doing is curbing the narrative that way to slow the kid down, because it's proved with Toronto this year that if you have a guy on your team that thinks he's just going to be there for fighting, that's ridiculous, because he's not a viable strength on your team and he's going to be a liability eventually. The kid's 6'6". He can skate. He can storm the net.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we be doing the media? Because everyone loving the fights, bro. Remember we said, how do we get it out of here? How do we take it out of here? Every outlet, everywhere I seen was excited about the fighting. And that just made me go, really?
Well, it's a marketing tool.
Yeah, but if we're talking about player safety and all the stuff that you discussed, there's a huge oxymoronic systemic bullshit thing going on here in fighting. So let's just admit it. We at the House That Happened are not fooled. Is that what we're going to say? We're going to say we're not fooled. But like I said, I'm still not going to be a hypocrite. I do believe that there's, as I just explained, why there would be a fight in that situation. All the other situations are bullshit. You know what I mean? How many times do I text you and I go, oh, look at this. 4-goal lead, 3 minutes left. Mr. Milani, guess what's happening in the hockey game right now? And some guy's frustrated, some guy's mad, so they got to scrap there, and then they get the chance to do it, which is bullshit.
Right.
Bullshit, you know what I mean? But I think it's really weird, even though the level of fighting is supposedly have gone down this year, the hype in the last month about fighting, especially with this kid coming into the league, is insane.
Sure.
Insane, don't you think? And now it's the media's driving it. So the next time one of those MOs, mothers, Fs, say one word about player safety, and I'm taking receipts, I'm going to start freaking emailing them or Twittering them or texting them, whatever I got to do. And I'm watching names for a lot of people out there that cried, this is a bad thing. Shouldn't be fighting in hockey. They're taking it out of juniors. They don't fight in college. What's going on in the NHL? Did you see the game last night? It was excellent. Even had fights in it. That's the same guy.
Well, also, it's the guys that
Same
guy.
guy.
You can't hit guys to the head but like in the game, but like, oh, you punch a guy in the head repeatedly. That's fine.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's my big problem with fighting in hockey, too.
Okay, well, that's a great point, because that's what I'm getting at. The people that are driving it in the media, especially the New York media, when we were talking about this, make me crazy, because if you were, okay, like I got your stance on fighting. You have not wavered. Okay, maybe I've wavered here and just saying, well, this is the way it's got to be, but I don't think so. What I'm doing is more pointing out the fact that don't take me for a fool. Don't tell me on this day, it's Tuesday, this is what you believe in player safety. And on Thursday, you say, did you see that fight last night? The guy got his face punched in. That was amazing. Great part of the hockey game. Then I go, wait a second here, people. I'm here for the highest level of competition, and I hope it doesn't get interfered by with fights.
Well, I mean, yeah.
That's what we want. Ultimately, is not what we want?
Sure.
Ain't going to happen.
Well, with the more and more skill guys come into the league, the less fighting is going to be, like the less prominent fighting is going to be in the league.
Do you think?
That's a fact.
Well, I think that
because the
should be
players
going
are going
there
to get
anyway.
smaller and they have less and less business fighting.
Oh, I think that the smaller thing, the pendulum's coming back.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, I think that's coming back. I just look at the back end of the Las Vegas 6 defensemen that won the Stanley Cup, and I'm going, well, you know, I still.
Well, hold on, though. How many of those guys are there to go around, though?
Everybody's looking for him. What's the size of this guy that came into the league? What's this Rempe guy that's causing all the fights? What's his height again?
Yeah, but how long do you think he's really going to stick around for?
I'm thinking if he goes up and down, he can skate. He skates. He's young. He's big. He's strong. Just go up and down your wing, play defense, and storm the front of the net. We could all use those guys. Now, I'm on your side. If this guy's here in 20 games, wow. He's done himself.
Oh, and also like these kind of guys like him kind of are treated as disposable in the league.
That's what I'm saying. So the kid should be smart enough. Okay, you had your fight, you made your reputation. Now let's play hockey.
Sure.
You know what? I'm going to go with that.
Right.
And now, instead of going to hockey, one of the themes this week that we've discussed off camera is the scheduled loss. I love the way you opened the show with that, because if there was ever a scheduled loss in the season 2024, it was the Toronto Maple Leafs coming home from the most successful road trip that they've had in a long time, sleeping in their own beds, girlfriend showed up, wife's hungry, favorite restaurant, kids got you up in the morning for the cartoons, walking the dog, and then let's go play a game. Oh, whoops.
You called it too early. You said the scheduled loss would be in Vegas.
That's what I thought. Yes, I would. But it came the other way. It still came around.
Yes,
it still came around in a weird kind of a way. It's not work so, because it was going to be, like I said, I could have been there, but then it happened when they got it home, which is so bizarre.
But that's so common in the NHL. Teams come home from that long road trip, especially if it's a successful road trip. That first game back home, how often is it a loss?
They say basketball is worse, I've heard. Like if the team goes away on a 5-game road trip and they come home, they go, pencil that one in as a loss, which is kind of insane. Not long, like, okay, if you go 2 games and come home, 2 games and come home.
That's different.
But they're
going West Coast back to the East Coast kind of deal.
Oh, yeah. Every time, like in both of the leagues. But you know what? That's not take away from the fact that, do your Toronto Maple Leafs have a new identity? Yes,
definitely
they do. Okay? So what's the situation now? Let's bring up a few Leaf things now that we're here, because it's my second favorite thing to talk about besides walking my dog and picking up his feces. However,
come on.
Well, I'm just...
Be nice to the team that you had no belief in beating Colorado on Saturday.
Okay, there you go. But I'm going to put it this way.
Fantastic game, by the way.
Most excellent. Like, both of those games are good, by the way. The weekend games are good. But what I'm saying is that... the weird dichotomy is the Riley situation.
How so?
You got 6 guys that play defense on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and everyone shoots left.
Everyone except for Liljegren.
Okay, and he's out tonight.
Well, he was out, yeah.
He's out.
He's out tonight again, too.
Okay, so there's 6 guys there. What that has done is it showed that some guys should be playing on the other side in a weird way, especially your buddy Brody.
TJ Brody, yeah.
He's a revelation. So... I think that how they're working Riley in as we're going to be there, Riley's going to have to accept the fact that he's going to get his minutes because of his offensive prowess.
Yeah.
But there's going to be times he's going to be on the ice, maybe not. Like now, where I think it's what Tavares is down there. Domi's showing he can skate faster with Nylander, so maybe it's better there. Tavares is not that fast kind of deal. So these adjustments, I says, have changed the identity of Toronto Maple Leafs, and I think that they could now be Boston's faltering. Little.
Yeah,
I don't know if they can catch him.
I'm not going to count them dead. Nah, yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Can the Leafs catch Boston? I'm not going to say definitive no. It's a stretch. It is.
It is a big stretch. So you think that Florida? Well, we'll get there in a minute, but because now Florida's
looking good.
Oh yeah, they're moving right along. But what I'm saying is now we're getting down to that 20 games left. Okay, so by the time that we have a show the next time, the trade deadline will be over too.
Yes, it will be.
Okay, so what I'm going to get at is I'm going to be a firm believer in this, and we brought it up last time, so let's nail this to the cross right now. I think that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to make little to no changes on the trade deadline because the main guy they could have taken is Tanev as a rental. But if you want to get Hanifin from Calgary now, who's the number one guy, unless they're going to take the young guy from San Jose, which I don't think they're going to. San Jose be stupid
young
to give
guy
him up.
in San Jose.
Or whatever. There's that defenseman in San Jose, is it, or Anaheim? One of those two teams.
Labushkin on Anaheim.
Is that what it is? Yeah. I don't think he's moving. It would be stupid for them to move him. Because you're
I
always
think they will
saying,
move him.
You think they will?
Yeah, because he's not that that high end guy. I mean, if you can trade him at the deadline, why wouldn't you to earn a couple extra draft picks?
Okay, so you think you can replace him as easier that he's in that thing, which I'll talk about Montreal in a minute. What's easier?
Yeah, it's not like he's a top 4D, right?
Okay, so anyways, my belief is this: that wholesale change last year wasn't enough for Toronto. It wasn't worth it to them. Me personally, looking at it back, was it really worth the one series win? It was good psychologically for the fan base and for the team, but you expected to go farther. I'm expecting.
Sure, yeah, you expect it to be able to beat Florida.
Okay, so now I'm saying to this much. Here's my belief. I think they're going to go farther this year because they're not going to make those dramatic changes at the deadline. They know what they got. They've just got a decent.
Easier said than done.
Decent sample size.
You're already saying they're going to beat Boston and Florida?
I hope they beat Boston, man. I hate those guys so much.
I hope they beat Florida. I want them to punch Nick Cousins in the freaking face.
Okay, well,
biggest rat in the league.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not.
Do you
see
some of
fighting.
the highlights?
Oh, he's ruthless.
Oh, do it with the glove on. It's okay.
Yeah.
He won't get the major.
Okay, there
you go. It's been proven in the NHL.
Okay.
But oh my God, some of the we'll call him lowlights this week. He goes down like he's hurt, and then he gets up right away. Like
no, he's like a WWE guy now. He's
oh my God, I thought Marchand was bad. This guy's giving him like.
Well, he went to the Marchand school of. Being a vermin. He got
a PhD.
Oh,
he's teaching the class now.
But I mean, and it doesn't matter when you think about what I'm saying here is Toronto's going to have to beat Boston or they're going to have to beat Florida anyway. So let's get it on. It's time to get down. You never heard of Soul Train? That's what you do.
I know of Soul Train, yes.
Let's get it on. It's time to get down. That's what's going to be the theme for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm saying they got a bigger sample size now to show that if the team plays this way, now there's going to be some interesting things when guys come back from injury or not, because you're going to have to decide who are the guys that have the intestinal fortitude to play the type of hockey that you need to be played in the playoffs.
I was thinking about this. So I was thinking day one, as it stands now, game one of the playoffs, I think I'd have Mark Giordano as a healthy scratch.
Oh, 100%. And see how it goes. Okay, I agree. Because just for the speed factor alone, so if you guys play six lefties,
well, Liljegren's going to be on the team. You would think.
I hope he's going to be back, and I think he's going to be tough enough to get their way through it. But I'm saying this is how you get stronger now, because what you're doing is you're not going to change the dynamic in the dressing room either. I'm saying, if you get a depth piece or that extra defenseman, like for example, say somehow you guys stole Savard from Montreal. That kind of piece. I'm not saying that.
I don't think Montreal's going to trade him, to be honest.
Okay, well, anyways, we're just talking hypothetically. Sure. A Savard-type defenseman on your team, or I think Armia. Okay, Labushkin would be a good step. That's the type of guy, or an Armia type forward in the facts. I'm not saying it's Armia, but I'm saying a guy that played two ways, a guy that could help still kill penalties. He's strong in the forward check, and that's all you'll need.
If I'm the Leafs, I wouldn't even make a trade for another forward. I
don't think they need it either.
Because especially with don't forget, Cal Yarncroke has been out of the lineup for a while. When he comes back, I think he's knocking Nick Robertson out of the lineup.
I think that's going to be a mistake.
But you can't play Robertson on the fourth line. I think that's a mistake.
Maybe so, but then you're going to have to look him in there, because I think that you're right.
I think McMahon, Tavares, Yarncroke could be a killer third line.
Okay, but I don't know, because I think that Robertson's getting a bad rap on this team. He tries every shift. I notice him every game, but they don't use him right. That's my opinion.
But who are you taking out of the lineup for him?
I don't know, one of the fourth liners, and then let them fight for that spot in the third line.
No, but he's not a fourth line guy. I don't think he fits with like Kemp and Reeves and whoever they decide to play.
How much time is Reeves going to be playing in the playoffs? Does he open the first game?
As it stands now, I think he would be.
You think so?
Yeah.
Either way, because you'd want that first game, whatever. I would think the opposite. I would like to know, because
if he keeps playing well like he is right now.
He hasn't been bad. I'm not saying he hasn't been bad. You know what I mean?
He's been a lot more effective than he was in the first half of the season.
100%. But I mean, that's just
he's skating hard. You know, his stride looks a lot better than it was earlier.
But word around the campfire is that he sticks around for skating. Like, he's power skating every day.
Good for him.
Yes.
Good for him.
That's part of your job. If you know this is what you got to do, like, if you go down to the Etobicoke place there, where they practice down there.
Well, if you're gonna say to the media like, "Hey, I'm good to go," then you better be good to go, right?
Oh, exactly. So
I'm glad he's keeping himself accountable.
So we won't be here at the trade deadline. So I'm going to put it to you this way: I think that the Toronto Maple Leafs should not make very many moves unless it's a
Don't trade their first round pick.
Don't trade your first round pick. And here's what you're going to have to do too, because I heard it yesterday from two of your big insiders, one being Elliot.
I hate that term, by the way.
What, insiders?
The reporters.
Yeah, whatever. It's just whatever. They're just guessing because they went
very
out for
good
beers.
Reporters.
Yes, okay. But what they do is they just go for beers with the right guys, or they got the right guy on their cell phone.
Well, that's part of the job.
Of course. If you can cultivate those relationships, that's the way it's supposed to be. But I think it was Elliot Freeman, and who was the other? Was it Dreger or
either way?
Well, two of those big guys are all saying that Toronto might carry the roster spot, might be the extra goalie, and do that right through the first round of the playoffs.
Well,
no, it's not interesting.
I'm trying to think of it right now.
Yancroft could stay injured, but I don't think they'd take that chance if they get him back in the lineup. But anyways, they're saying that the Leafs are going to have to do some hanky-panky. But do they still claim him off waivers if the playoffs comes? Well,
what happens is once your farm team gets eliminated, it becomes one roster. And the Marlies are like kind of this year. So an early playoff exit could be in the cards for them, which I think would benefit the Leafs because you wouldn't have to worry about waivers and all that, right? It's just all your guys that are on NHL deals are just there.
They're just there. So that means that would put Martin Jones there too, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's what I think they're saying they're going to wait for the rest of the year, because word around the campfire is like, I'm telling you, bro, he will not clear waivers. And let's see.
Maybe not.
You're pretty adamant that he would. I'm saying no. I've heard too much chatter.
New Jersey's the only team that I'd be really worried about.
I heard a couple of people say they put him in their back pocket because of free agency next year, that they're going to lose some goalies or some loose end teams, and they'd say he'd be worth the project to keep him with a young guy. You know what I mean? For the future.
Yeah, convince him to stay, though. That's the problem.
Well, that's what it's going to be. Where is he going to go anyway, though, at his point in time? He's 34.
Well, if the Leafs give him that nice bonus again, why not come back to Toronto?
But people will be looking at that way. You know what I'm saying? I hope he does stay, because you know what? People got to forget. Don't forget, Martin Jones gave you guys some serviceable minutes and serviceable games this year. He's one of your unsung heroes. Come on. Think about the situation. But I guess you guys are all jumping up and down to see your buddy Wall starting tonight against Arizona.
I'm so happy
about that. I know that. And I hope he looks good for you guys. That's what I'm going on. Now, before we go away from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I wanted to bring up
Go ahead. We got more to go. We got more to go. Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe ejected late in that game against Vegas. We don't know what he said. Apparently, Mike Johnson said he didn't swear, which is odd. But I guess that was Wes McCauley calling that game, though, right?
Again.
Yeah. So
okay. Well, I didn't think he asked him. He didn't ask him out for dinner.
Definitely
That's what I heard. He didn't
not
ask him out.
Exchanging addresses for Christmas cards.
No, none of that stuff. It's over. Where'd you park your car? No, none of that went on. But I would love to know verbatim what was said, because if there was no swearing,
I think he's just sick of his shit.
Oh, of course he is. So he probably said something totally rude without swearing. I've done that. I've had umpires come up to me on my baseball days. Cruz, if you haven't opened your mouth, you're out of the game. But that's your last word.
Yes.
Because I've said I never swore. But I said something that perhaps maybe they weren't happy
Crossing
with.
The line, yes.
Yeah.
Either way, though,
Ran to the line, never crossed the line.
Keefe ejected and fined $25,000. That was announced today. Yeah. Granato, coach of Buffalo, was also fined $25,000 for, I guess, what he was saying to the ref. Either way, I think we mentioned this earlier in the year. There was a memo given out to NHL coaches this year to cool it when talking to the refs, which I agree with. It's like...
I do too, but I think Granato had a beef. more than Keefe. I think
Well,
Keefe,
Beef
that was...
and Macaulay have a beef too. Let's not get that crossed.
Right, okay, I know that. But I mean, I think the
like-
Granato situation was much more obvious why he was pissed.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. But like with Sheldon Keefe, though, my problem with it, this is my number 2 problem with him. Number 1 being him being out coached in the playoffs. That's neither here nor there. My problem with Keefe is that all these tirades, battles, however you want to frame it, with the referees, just
Gets
always
you
seem to
nowhere.
end badly.
Yes.
It's because other times you'll see coaches like Rod Brindamore kind of like, giving the ref like a tap on the shoulder, like, hey, man, like, it's you're fighting. It's out of passion. There's no malintent there. At least you would hope not. Sheldon Keefe just like screams till he's blue in the face.
And his hair goes gray.
His hair is gray.
Okay, well, you look at when he started a couple years ago, hair wasn't gray.
Nah, he was always kind of a silver fox.
Okay, well, in any
Yeah.
event, I know what you're getting at. I don't think it's going to get you very far because the guy that seems to have mastered it and knows when to hold him and when to fold him is Torts in Philly. Because remember back in the day, Torts never seen a ref he didn't like, but you know when he does it now? When he does do it, he's got respect. So, like, remember back in the day, he'd just blow a gasket in the middle of the afternoon. Okay?
Oh, yeah, back when he was like coach of Tampa. Or
You
New
know,
York,
that, he just blow a
Well,
gasket.
it came to a head in Vancouver. That was probably the
Okay,
learning
no
moment
more.
for
You
him.
can't do this anymore. But
Yeah.
now, do you notice when he raises his voice or he points a finger, he points it from, okay, I'm a guy that's done some idiot things in the past, but this is still wrong. So I don't think that Keefe or Granato have building up that much cachet that they can now look at a referee and say it was something without them getting tossed out. Even though I think Granato had a better thing like, what are you doing, refs?
Sure.
You know what I mean? You've seen the situation. You know what I mean? Nothing called, then called, whatever. Like you always say, who decides on this? Is there a call from Toronto? Whatever. But what makes it even more interesting, which I'm going to defend Keefe this way, is, and I don't really care about this anyways, because my name is Cruz and I'm funky, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are hated. Oh my God. They are hated from coast to coast. And everybody likes them from a media standpoint over 50 because they know about the traditional.
What do you mean media standpoint over 50?
I've heard a lot of older guys like the Kornheisers, the Wilbons, the guys like that will say,
Oh, sure.
They will
Okay,
say, you
fair
know what would
enough.
be a great Stanley Cup final? Edmonton and Toronto. Like, but if you get guys under 50, they don't need Toronto, Canada, go north of the border, screw them. You know what I mean? Oh, the head office is in Toronto. How's that call going to go? Or there was a call that goes,
Even
well,
though it
the
doesn't really
Toronto
go
game.
Toronto's call all the time, but
Agreed. And not only that, when guys make the thing like, okay, there was a game the other night, I think it was, can I say this on the House That Happens? If you're watching NESN, or whatever you want to call that,
Nesson, yeah.
worst hockey, whatever. You know what? Put the music on. Put the game on after the national anthem. Just put the,
With Jack, I'm having a stroke, Edwards.
Okay. Anyways, they got no love for Toronto either, but they say it. And I don't think that there's any love in Toronto for Boston either. Okay,
definitely
but
not.
when I'm watching a Toronto broadcast and they're playing Boston or something's going on in Boston, they may say it on the shows like the Overdrives or those insider shows. They might make their little cracks, a homer crack. But during the broadcast, you do not get the point where like the Toronto people are just anti-Boston to every time their mouth opens.
No, I think
but
our media,
Boston does get they're
that's on brand for Boston, right?
Unbelievable.
I will say our media here
Ruins
in
the
Canada
game.
is pretty fair and balanced. I mean, a lot of them, I will say in the NHL, like even whenever we kind of dunk on some of the broadcasts, I mean, most of them, they will not like, just bury the other team or, just completely like rag on them the entire time. Boston's its own animal, though.
Oh, they're so bad. Philly guys are a little bit, but they're more like they're
with their rivals.
The dirt under the nails, Philly kind of talk. So I get more like that because it seems like the basketball guys are the same way. That gritty, this is how we are. This is Philly. So I got that. But Boston's just pure ignorance. And some of the guys in the West Coast, where did you get these people? They didn't even know anything about hockey. But that's not where we're going with this. What I'm getting is that we're going to find it very interesting when a guy like Keefe comes in the playoffs because he better learn to chew it down because those kind of things could affect you in the long run in a playoff series.
Well,
that's what you got to worry
This
about.
seems to be the year for the Leafs of not only saying the right things that this is a learning experience, but just going out and proving that you've learned it. So could this be Sheldon Keefe's moment?
We're going to find
We'll
out
see.
really soon because you got to remember this isn't like this is a young team now. We're going back to Riley. This is 8. He's the first guy to show up of them all. So that's 8 there. Tavares is the last year of his contract. Is this last year or next year?
Second last year.
A second year. So he signed for 6.
7.
7. Okay, so that's the end of 7. So that means Matthews, this is his 6th or 7th. Marner, 6th or 7th. Riley.
This is their, I believe this is season number 8 for Matthews and Marner.
Is it already? Yeah. Well, whatever the case may be, like you're saying, to your point, this is a time to say we've learned, go on. That's my thing about don't do nothing at the trade deadline. Just you guys, if you readjusted your lineup, you've got the back check going, don't change the formula.
Well, and it's the market as well, I would say, for the guys that are whatever out there, like on the trade bait lists and whatever. Number one, Noah Hannafin. What do we know about him? Doesn't want to play in Canada. Next.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's why,
Well, Jake Gensel, I think Pittsburgh's going to ask for too much for him, and he's injured right now. So
I
think
that deal's going nowhere till the offseason.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's going to lose.
And then after that, the trade bait guys, like, it falls off drastically.
Oh, then there's depth pieces I'm talking about. Then you have to
you're not to throw
a
a first or even a second round pick at those guys.
Not even,
maybe a second, but
maybe a fourth. No, none of those guys are. And look at the age of some of that guys. I looked at the trade list. It's like going from like, okay, we're going to get a Subaru. Okay, no, we're not. We're going to get a F-150. Oh, no, we're going to get a e-bike. Come on, man.
Yeah, different.
It doesn't, no, it's not going to go. So that's what I'm saying, like, especially for a team like Toronto, they're going to, like, I would say, like, a depth piece, but go with what you know and find out, like, what you say. Is this the time we got to make it? Let's go for it. Let's just do it. Because you know what I mean? That's what's going to make you stronger. Yeah. You're the same crew. You move on. Right. Let's do it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
For as tumultuous, like, for a lot of the season was, because I was saying this was, like, the worst season in the Matthews-Marner era. I'm going to have to walk that back a bit because we're kind of, forgetting how just absolutely nutso that last season with Babcock was when we went from Babcock to Keefe. That was an absolute, like, crazy season. But for once, it's like this team is actually, like, building momentum with the guys they have. They're figuring things out. Again, may have been a result of circumstance. Like
of course.
Like we talked about last week.
Yep.
But either way,
it's all good for the team. It's all good for the team. If the team's going to go forward, I agree.
2, maybe even 3 solid options in net. When was the last time you could say that?
That's
about the
what
Leafs?
I'm saying. You know what I mean? And if you hold up with the 6 lefties, you know what I think it is? It's the back check and the way you skate out of there. Because even it might not be as good an offensive label, it's true that Domi's a better skater with Nylander. You see it during the games.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Tavares is never going to be known as Elvis Stoico. You know what I mean?
He never was.
No, but he's solid at what he does,
Sure.
and he's good with those players that he's playing with. So solid depth for look at it as a better depth for the Leafs too. If you know what I'm saying that way.
Yep. So we mentioned the Chris Tanev trade, so I want to get into that. He was traded to the Dallas Stars last night with. He got traded along with a prospect. I imagine it was kind of like a lower prospect. Mm-hmm. Either way, went for a D prospect, a 2024 second, and a 2026 third if Dallas goes to the Stanley Cup final this year. Also, New Jersey ate half of his salary so Calgary ate up half his salary, sent it to New Jersey. New Jersey gets a 2026 fourth-round pick from Dallas. Then they retained half, sent him to Dallas. So basically, Dallas is getting him at a quarter salary.
Which is good because he's a rental at this moment anyway.
Yes, and it leaves Dallas with just enough room to, not to make another move, but so they can pick Dedan off of injured reserve and not have to worry about their cap hit. So they're
Smart move.
Yes, they're in sound position there. I don't know if they're going to have anything else to earn any more room to move. Might have to be money in, money out. If so, I doubt it. But either way, I think this is really going to be a move to complete Dallas's blue line. They're looking really solid now because you have the 6 guys you want back there. Chris Tanev, if he's that guy you want in the playoffs, he will take a puck to the face.
Yes, animal. But that's why you can't take Hannafin. First of all, like you said, like he's the number 1 guy in the trade thing. But I'm starting to think about this way too. Calgary could still make the playoffs. So why?
Yes, no, maybe.
Well, they're only 5 back now. They're only 5 points back. Okay, but let's look at it this way. This is a very disappointing season for Calgary.
Absolutely.
Okay, we know that, right? So why dismantle too much when maybe you're just 2 or 3 of those players away from getting yourself standing back on your own 2 feet?
They said this. They don't want to be in the position like they were with Goudreau a couple years ago, where you lose a good guy for absolutely nothing.
Exactly. So I know what they're saying, but I wouldn't.
Calgary's in a weird position. I do not envy where they are.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially since they may not be allowed to trade with the Leafs. Oh, yeah. That takes away one of your trade partners.
Exactly.
You can thank their wonderful owner for that, I bet.
So who do you think's in a weirder position, New Jersey or Calgary?
Calgary. Because, I mean...
Jersey's not making the playoffs. Is that what you're saying? Then that's what you got to be saying.
Unless they get the goalie. Unless they get Markstrom from Calgary.
Agree, yeah, but then that
could
would
happen.
I think Calgary, if they trade Markstrom, then I think they're setting themselves back for a couple of years.
Well, it's all up to Markstrom. If Markstrom tells that team, like, hey, like, I do want to move on, like, you can't keep him.
Okay, I agree with that. But I hope he seems to be happy there. Because when the original talks came up, he let people know. Yeah, because they're like, maybe next year they could be doing it. You don't want to dismantle too much because then you're 3 years away.
Yeah, but I mean, with some of the pieces that you acquire, you can trade those for players you can use now, right? You can be a little bit creative with how you assemble guys. Plus, there's free agency. I don't know if it's going to be that strong of a free agent class.
Oh, I don't know if it's going to be that much either. But
I'm just saying it's not the end of the world for Calgary.
When are they announcing?
Like, look at Winnipeg. We thought they were dead in the water.
Oh, that's another. Oh, poor Winnipeg. They're still not. They're still got issues. What we talked about previously, but the
they're
question
looking good
is,
on the ice.
What's that?
They're looking good on the ice.
Oh, on the ice. That's not a question. But the bottom line is, I'm wondering. It's not like the NFL now. The NFL announced their salary cap increase. Did you hear what it is?
No, I didn't.
$30 million, boys. That's another player. That's a frontline player. Now, what I'm saying is, when do they announce the supposed salary cap increase in the NHL, Mr. Bateman? Well, how long are you going to make them wait? So after the playoffs,
NFL waited till the offseason. You would think the NHL is going to do the same.
They should do it by July 1st then, because of the free agency.
It's going to be well before July 1st.
I hope so.
I bet you it's going to be before the draft.
Got to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
It would absolutely.
Because you have guys like planning their off season.
You got it.
I would bet it would be like somewhere like, let's say there's 2 weeks between the last game of the Stanley Cup Final and the draft. It would probably be somewhere smack in the middle.
I hear you. Yeah, it could be.
That's usually how it goes, I feel.
Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you that we're talking about things that are revved up. Do you know the nickname of that guy that's doing all the fighting in New York?
Oh God.
They're calling him Rempire Strike Bill.
Oh, them Rempire Strike Bill.
I just threw it in. I laughed my ass up when I heard it, but continue.
I did hear that.
Isn't that hilarious? That was kind of funny.
So, the final stretch of the season we are in.
Crazy on the wild card thing, but I want to ask you a question before we go on there, and I heard it yesterday on one of the shows, which I thought was interesting, but it's got to look that way. We'll talk about with the NBA. Greatness is greatness is greatness. And if someone wins the MVP 6 times in a row because they're great, I'm all for that. However, if you're the greatest player in the league and you're not looking the way that you should be all the time, doesn't mean you should automatically get into the conversation as MVP, correct? So does that mean that our buddy Mr. McDavid is out of the Hart conversation?
It's looking that way.
And your favorite player, Kucherov, he has to be in the conversation, right? The guy who's not a top 5 player in the league, questionable top 10. Is that what you told me?
I said top 10.
I want to roll the tape back. I was trying to find that on an episode.
There.
I know. I got to find which episode because I went back to try to find you.
You know what's going to hurt him, though, I think? Is him at the All-Star Skills competition. And not that that's fair.
No, it's not fair, but I know exactly
but writers
where
are
you're
going to be thinking, fuck this guy.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if he's going to be left off of ballots completely because of that.
That would be a sin if it doesn't, because here's the other thing that's going to go on.
Mind you, the ballots are public, so maybe that might change some things.
but it should be public. But here's what I'm hearing. Okay, I don't think McDavid is probably not 10-game not scoring. But he had 23 assists.
He's racking up the assists,
okay,
right?
so whatever. What's more important, the fact that Auston Matthews only has 25 assists all year? Well, I don't know. I think it's a different type of player, different players.
We got into this a little bit last week, though. We're going to handicap him just because he doesn't have as many secondary assists.
Exactly. So, okay, that's when we know I'm starting to have trouble with the secondary assist the more I watch. Every time I see one I don't like, I'm going to start texting you. Your phone might be full in a minute. But in any event, I hear this side of the talk, too, which is weird about writers doing shit and how they like everything. We love McKinnon here at the House That Happens. Come on, do we not? He's one of the best players in the league. I know you like him. It's probably something we have in common about that is the guy. He's never won an MVP. So is all the writers going to say, well, it's about time to put a legacy mark on his career because he's now won a Stanley Cup. He's been an All-Star. He's going to play for Canada. Give him an MVP. I think he should earn it, not be given to him. So if Matthews wins 70 goals and they pass Toronto and Colorado's where they are with his so many points, who are you going to vote for, Matthews, or are you going to vote for McKinnon?
Oh, I mean, if Matthews gets 70 goals, you have to vote Matthews.
Well, that's what they're saying, and I don't think he's getting 70. I think he's getting 65. Is that enough to get him the Hart?
If he gets hot again down the stretch, that's
it's going to get tighter and tighter as the game's going. I can't see him getting 70. I hope he gets 75.
You just need a couple games for him to go off, and all of a sudden he's right back up there.
I'm just going to put it this way. I think that Auston Matthews has gotten to be a point where he's box office. Anytime he's on TV, you should be looking to watch him because he's having one of those type of seasons. You don't have those seasons all the time, but every time he's on the ice, he's like McKinnon and your favorite player, Kucherov. Even though I know
The Leafs got
Kucherov-
New Jersey 3 times left down the stretch.
What's that?
The Leafs have New Jersey 3 times down the stretch.
You're kidding.
That's a team that's having trouble getting saves.
Oh, that could be interesting. Okay.
They got Arizona tonight.
Yeah, well, that should be
Already up
some
1-0. Nyes with the opening goal.
Okay, don't tell me anymore because
Mr.
I got it.
25 before Slavkovsky.
Oh, we're going to have that bet. You leave that alone. Okay, before we leave hockey, when we talk about the MVP, I think there was a question you wanted to ask me about something that's going on in the league with my team.
Yes. Are you scared, to use your phrase,
Yes.
that Montreal will finish last in the Atlantic Division like I predicted?
No, they won't finish last.
Even though Ottawa's just a point back with 2 games in hand.
Well, I think that Ottawa's going to find a way to screw it up, so they'll just won't be there. But I'm going to tell you this.
Even though Montreal's 3-7 in their
why are you
last
picking
10.
on my team like this? Okay, we're very
because
competitive.
you've never picked on my team once.
Okay, so listen,
Check
I'm
the
gonna
tape.
I'm just gonna say this, okay? Winning, I hate losing. I just hate losing. When I cheer for a team, I hate losing. I'm not liking a couple games last week, I'll be honest. By the third period, with my box and the game came in and I'm happy the Habs are on, I turned them off. I get angry. So I don't want to hear about tanking or topping. If they come in, I think that they're gonna fight to make sure they're not in last place. But the question is, what are they going to do at the trade deadline? They have those serviceable pieces, but now I'm thinking, what can they do trade? You're right about a couple.
We already made your big move.
Exactly, and the Allen ship has sailed, I think. They're going to have to trade him in the offseason before they're going to get anything now because they just blew it with the over what you're saying. But
even then, like in the offseason, I think there's going to be better goalie options to go for. Like I
think
think
we blew it.
Allmark.
I think if we had that's exactly. But I mean that's a tandem you'd like to keep together a little longer, I think. But that's Boston
has a
SM
kid coming up too. So
what I'm saying is that sometimes you make the wrong move at the wrong time. Maybe Montreal should have traded Allen back in January for a decent thing that they were offered from Jersey and a couple other teams, and they thought they could get more, and so here we're at. So what is my reaction? I will be very disappointed if we end up in last place, just like you predicted. That will make me very, very not happy.
Silver lining, though, if that does happen, this is a draft where, let's not forget, there is a number 1 center, a future number 1 center that's going to be available.
I know.
And you're just increasing your lottery chances, tanking. Montreal's not making the playoffs.
Don't give me half a blowjob, okay? Stop it.
What? Who's talking about half a blowjob?
Because you're saying if we get there and if we get the draft,
okay,
we're going to have the fewest amount of balls in the thing. You know, when we get the lottery, when we get down there, we're going to be the lowest guy in there. The odds of us getting it, it's going to be slim to none.
And you just improve where you are in the draft. Instead of drafting 7, maybe you're drafting 4 or 5.
Okay, so what we got to do is that we better make this draft another very, very good one, like the kid in Finland that's coming over playing defense that we drafted last year. What we have to do is we got to make sure we get the piece that we need to make us go forward with this young crew because we got a lot of young guys that are under 30, under contract, that are playing this system that is competitive. I'm going to get right back to what I said before, and like you keep telling me they don't pick it on trees. We need a number 1 center so we can set up a guy that can score 40 goals. When's the last time Montreal Canadiens had a 40-goal scorer?
I think
you don't even know what hockey was when they had a 40-goal scorer.
Well, I was looking, there was a graphic. It might have been their last 50-goal scorer. But the
last 50, that's Stéphane Richer. That's a long time ago.
I don't think I saved the picture. Damn.
That's a long time ago. Stéphane Richer got what, 50 and what, 90, 91? I don't think we've had a 40-goal scorer this century.
So I'm trying to think, like Kovalev, I don't think ever scored 40 for you.
No, he scored 38. He might have Kovalev. Did he get 40? No, late 40. Passaretti never got 40. Got high. Nobody scored.
Yeah, he was like a high 30s kind of guy.
Yeah, nobody's got 40. And that's what I'm saying is that if we end up in last place and next year we got a center for Slavkovsky and he scores 40, I'm good with that. But I hate losing, bro. I hate losing, and that's
you've been losing.
Yes, I know, but we're not embarrassing ourselves like we did last year. Remember this time we were just a train wreck going into the wall. What everyone's looking for us for in the offseason is, I'm going to put it this way. We've got 8 defensemen now. We can afford to get rid of a couple guys. We got 8 viable guys that can play in the NHL right now.
Yeah, but again, you're not going to be trading for those high end guys. That's the thing, right?
Well, that maybe give us a piece if someone gets unhappy, and maybe someone from LA suddenly comes to Montreal and plays the way they're supposed to.
You want that contract?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying. I
don't want that contract.
I'd take the 40.
Put it that way.
I'll take the 40 goals. Like, no, seriously. I cannot remember when we've had anybody in the top 20 in scoring
It's been a long time.
Okay, anybody that scores 40 goals, we've been for years, Montreal, competitive. Even the year we went to the finals, what did we do that? We did that more on grit and work.
Sure.
And a skating system that we had in solid goaltending. Carey Price played his ass off. That's the number one reason we got there. But what was our big scoring on that team? Kokamini. He's not even on the team.
Tyler Toffoli.
Not on the team. What's his name that went out to L.A.? Philip Deneau.
Yep. Yeah, he was your number one center.
Yeah, like all those guys are gone. You know what I'm saying? Now, I understand why I wish we never traded Deneau, though. Or he was a free agent.
He was a free agent,
yeah. I wish that we could have, but we wasn't at the time to give him that money with the rest of the team. I wish still we had Toffoli around. That's the type of guy that you guys need. If you get an extra forward, you need a Toffoli.
I mean, our forward group is good right now.
I wouldn't, but I mean, if you wanted to get a guy on that level,
Toffoli's
a little
a guy
less,
you like,
yeah, both ends of the rink, that kind of thing. But I agree with you. You guys shouldn't get any more forwards.
No,
that's the way it is. So, anyways,
news actually just came out that Vegas's Mark Stone is done for the regular season, but could come back for playoffs. So they're going to pull the same nonsense that they did last year.
Oh, when are they going to tighten up that rule?
Next CBA.
Yeah. That's a scam. That's just a pure scam.
That and like what the Leafs have been doing with LTIR, that's got to be cleaned up.
True. And then Tampa Bay did the whole Kucherov thing. That was Exhibit A.
Yeah.
Of that.
And then Vegas just took it to the next level.
Yeah. It's just crazy. I don't know. And
people wonder why Vegas is the most hated team in the league.
They're starting to get that way. But I mean, hey, you know what they're doing? Everything inside the rules. They're bending it all their way, and they're winning. That just makes people more jealous the way it is. Is there anything you want to talk about hockey till we get to our Power 5?
Well, I want to do my Team Finland.
Oh, right.
So we will get right into this. So I did my team.
How long did it take you to find 20 guys? Couple hours?
Well, there was only a few to pick from if you look at the stats, right?
After about half an hour, I said, screw this. I'll figure out the names that I don't know you're going to tell me.
Yeah. So we'll start with the forwards.
Yeah.
Down the middle, I got Alex Barkov, Rupi Hintz, Alex Lundell, Mikhail Granlund, and Kotkaniemi's my 13th forward. On the left wing, I got Lekkinen.
He's your 13th forward?
Yes, he is.
13th?
Yes.
You think all those guys are better?
Have you seen his numbers? He's got a
two-way.
He's got a big minus attached to his stats this year.
Yeah, that's my favorite stat.
On the left wing, I got Lekkinen, I got Teravainen, I got Michelli on Arizona, who's suddenly tearing it up out of nowhere.
Yep.
And Erik Haula. On the right wing, I have Mikko Rantanen, obviously.
Yep.
I have Sebastian Aho pushed to the wing.
Yep. Oh, you're going to put him on the wing instead of center? Because that is one of their strong points.
I would put Rupi Hintz at center over him.
Yeah, I like Hintz a lot.
Yeah.
Good hockey player. Young, fast, steady. Yeah.
Yep. I got, Aho, Patrick Laine. I'm believing in him. I will put him back in there. And Tolvanen on Seattle's my final one. There were some guys I had to leave out. Luo Sterinen on Florida was a tough one to leave out. Parson on Nashville I considered as well. Armia and Kapanen could be guys if like the fourth liners. Yeah, but they're penalty kill guys, right?
It'll depend. It'll depend on the performance by Christmas. I'm glad because I thought they were too old maybe, but you know what I mean? You still need some veteran presence on the team.
Armia, you look at his numbers, they're not bad. I think he's just on a bad team.
Stop that.
Where's Montreal in the standings?
Okay, whatever. Let's talk about the weather.
Good teams aren't
El
25th.
Niño.
So for Finnish D, not a lot of right-handed D to choose from.
No.
Only two I even considered, and they're both on the team. Yoki Hairu and Hakanpää are the only two.
They're the only two guys I really know. The other guys, when I was looking at their names, I looked at the
right-handed ones?
Yeah.
Well, there's Ristolainen as well, but I think his career's kind of done.
No, I
didn't even consider him, to be honest.
No, I didn't either, but these guys you're going to name now, I looked at a couple. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and then on the left side, it's a lot easier, a lot more to choose from. Heiskanen, Lundell, Mikkola on Florida, Olimata, who I think is going to be the one who's going to have to be pushed over to the right side. And then there's the kid on Anaheim, Vakanainen.
Yeah,
originally, I had Valimaki on Arizona over him, but then looking at the stats, I'm like, nah, I got to go for the kid. Plus, you're projecting him for next year again, right?
Okay, but it's a performance. Valimaki's your top six, and you're playing against Canada.
No, he's
America.
not.
He'd be in trouble.
Valimaki's off the team. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He didn't make it. Okay, got you. Yeah. Okay, I was wondering because I looked at him too and went. I think it was around when I got to his name. I go, why am I doing this?
So
it's pretty rough.
My stat about the Finnish D that's going to blow your mind: only 8 Finnish D have played in over 40 games this year. 8.
What?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Say that again.
Only 8 Finnish D have played over 40 games in the NHL. Only 9 have played in over 30. That 9th one is Ristolainen.
Who's not going to play?
Yeah.
That's an ugly stat.
That's why I'm saying Finland's going to be 4th place.
Oh, no doubt about it. They're going to be cannon fodder.
Yeah.
That's what they're...
We're getting to a real strength of the Finnish team, the goaltending.
Oh, I forgot.
UC Saros,
Yes.
automatic.
Yep.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen on Buffalo has been a revelation on that
yes.
team. You had to have him on there. And then Kaapo Kähkönen on San Jose is my number 3. And
they got another guy that could play too, right?
Korpisalo and Ville Husso. Although they might factor in if there's an injury, but that's my Team Finland.
I'm more impressed with it than I thought because I didn't even know some of those guys' names, but I did know this. Their top centers are okay, and they've got the goaltending, but Finland's got something going on in their country about goaltending that they've consistently coming on for years.
For decades,
yes, which you got to give them credit for. And sometimes a goalie can steal the game. So we're going to have to wait and see, but I don't see them getting any more than 4th place. And I think that this is going to be, can I say it here now, I think by the time we get to the end of this tournament, some people are going to say, oh, it's just a grandiose thing. Just why do you have a best of 3 between the Americans and the Canadians? That's what I'm going to think, because it doesn't have enough teams. You know what I mean? There's too many, because it's I know why they're doing it, and it's diplomatic, and it's...
Well, I think even the NHL would admit it's not a perfect solution.
No, but they wanted to have something, so I get it. And especially have something before the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I got it. But it's just the same that world politics are just screwing up everything. You know what I mean? But speaking of, anything else you want to say about hockey?
We'll get to our power rankings before our Saturday night picks.
Okay, so can I give you my new list?
Absolutely.
Number 5, considering what they've done in the last 10 games, and they were the ones that got Tanev, the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Number 4, even though they're having problems with the corporate people and not picking enough season tickets, the Winnipeg Jets. Number 3, the Vancouver Canucks.
Okay.
Number 2, the New York Rangers are on the heater of heaters right now, playing the best hockey of this season. When they 9-1 in their last 10?
Something like that.
Yeah, they're crazy hot. Number 2 is the New York Rangers. And my number 1 is still my number 1 from last week and who have moved into first place in the division, the Florida Panthers.
Who I hope win the President's Trophy for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So our lists are actually very similar.
Really?
Yes, they are. My number 5, though, is the Boston Bruins. Number 4,
okay,
the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
Number 3, the New York Rangers.
Oh.
Number 2, the Vancouver Canucks. And shocker of all shockers, number 1, the Florida Panthers.
Well, we got to, the truth is the truth. The thing is, you know what I've noticed? And maybe because it's my incessant hate for them, but the Bruins have not quite something's...
I'm keeping them there out of respect.
Well, I'm thinking I'm giving Dallas that because Dallas has actually played a little better in action Tanev, and I think they're the sleeper team out west. They're big, strong, and going, even though Segan's out for a little while now and they got one of their defensemen hurt. But I think they're all going to be back for the playoffs.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But that Dallas is a good team, man. They're good,
honestly,
solid hockey
honestly,
team.
Dallas was my number 7, though.
Oh, were
I
they?
had Colorado ahead of Dallas.
Oh, I had Colorado in there, too. I thought about it. But I thought Dallas will know, especially when they're adding this guy we're going to see. Because we're not giving Colorado enough respect, I think, some days.
Sure, but although they desperately need another forward, though, because Ryan Johansson was their big offseason acquisition, and he has not been panning out.
No, and Landeskog looks like he's still not going to be back for a while, right?
Skating, though, which is
skating,
good
yeah, which will be good to see.
Ready for our picks?
Yes, we are. How did I do last week? Not too good.
You were okay. You were 7 for 13. I was 9 for 13.
Yeah, I knew you had a couple games.
Should pick the Leafs.
Yes, I know.
We both picked Vegas over Ottawa. That was a big one. We both picked Edmonton to beat the Hurricanes. They did not. No. We both picked the Islanders to beat Tampa Bay.
Yes.
That's proved costly.
Tampa Bay could be gone in the first round, because they're going to end up as a wild card, right? Yeah, so they're going to have trouble.
Although Florida-Tampa first round could be exciting.
Yeah, I know. No, that'd be a bloodbath by the end.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's get to our picks. First up, Winnipeg at Carolina. I'm going to take the Jets on the road. They are very hot.
No, Carolina need the game. I'm going to take Carolina.
Minnesota at St. Louis. I'm going to take the Wild on the road.
What was that? Minnesota at St. Louis?
Yes.
I'm going to take St. Louis.
Edmonton at Seattle. Edmonton, if you look at the record, they have actually been pretty bad since Corey Perry has come into the lineup. So I'm going to take the Kraken at home.
Edmonton needs a win. They'll do it on Saturday night. They're
on the road?
On the road. They'll do it.
Colorado at Nashville.
They haven't played bad. They just had the bad breaks in the games. Like a lot of those games they lost, it was like tied going into the third period. And then
Doesn't that kind of say something about your makeup, though, that you're losing a lot of these games, though?
But they were just winning them a whole bunch before, so I think now it just balances itself out after a while, and then it gets level playing field to see who you are.
Either way, I think it's building up to Edmonton first-round loss to Vegas.
Ooh, okay.
Colorado at Nashville. I'm going to take Nashville at home. Nashville's been very, very hot lately, and Colorado has been the least consistent team this season.
But you got them 6 on your list of power rankings, so I'm going to take Colorado just because you
They haven't
put them
been a
on
great
that
road
list.
team, though.
No, but this is the time they got to up the ante.
So you're going to take Colorado.
Yep.
All right. We have, sorry, give me one sec. Vegas at Buffalo. I'm going to take Vegas on the road.
I'm going to say that Vegas will have a letdown, and Buffalo will steal the win.
Okay. Florida at Detroit. I'm going to take the Red Wings.
Florida at Detroit?
Yeah.
You're taking the Red Wings?
Taking the Red Wings. They have been very hot lately, too.
Especially at Caesars. So I'm going to take Detroit on a Saturday night.
By the way, do you see the end of the Chicago-Detroit game from Sunday night?
Amazing.
Seth Jones is an idiot, though. He had
Wide
open the slot, goes for the shot.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane comes the other way and scores.
Oh, yeah, but was that not a beautiful goal?
It was unreal.
That's why I say the difference between shootout goals and goals in the flow of the game. Because then you got to pick it up. You got to think about what you're doing. You come down, whatever. Kane just got the puck in natural,
instinct.
Oh, it's just so
and he's
nice.
been red hot.
Oh,
Point per game player now.
Yep.
Ottawa at Philadelphia. I'm going to take Philadelphia at home.
What do you think of Philly's prospects in the playoffs?
I think in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm taking Philly to win this game.
I'm taking Philly to win the game too. But who do they have to play in the first round? Let me think. Who's second in the Metro?
Could be Carolina.
Oh, it would be Carolina. Yeah, they're done.
Oh, okay.
It was a nice
That was
run,
almost
Philly.
rude.
If New Jersey gets a goalie, they could even knock Philly out of the playoff spot.
Oh, gee. Yeah, there's 5 points or 6
Philly's
points.
in it.
I don't think Jersey's got enough. I don't think, I see them play a lot. There's just something about the makeup the team. It seems they depend too much on Jack Hughes. It unravels for them. They're getting no breaks, I think. And their schedule. Look, they could play Toronto 3 times down the stretch.
That's rough.
So they could lose all 3 of those.
They'll probably steal one.
Maybe still one. But that's what I'm saying. And they've got the most games left, but the toughest schedule or something like that.
Yeah.
Jersey's in a weird spot.
Montreal at Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay at home.
I'm going to pass on that game.
Boo. Come on. Who you picking?
Tampa Bay.
TB. New York Rangers at the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to be my game of the night. I'm going to take the Leafs at home.
I'm taking the Rangers to steal one.
Okay. Maybe Ryan Reeves will fight the Rempire State Building.
The Rempire State Building. We got one. Is it on pay-per-view yet? Is it on Bet What or on Lotto Canada or some shit?
Boston at the New York Islanders. I'm going to take the Islanders at home.
I'm taking the Islanders too.
Okay. Worked so well for us last week.
Yes, it did. And Boston just seemed weird, like something they're going off the rails or something, which is okay. Could just be because they played so much so long they're waiting for the playoffs.
Maybe.
But the way they've fallen down to Florida is surprising.
A little bit of a concern.
Yep.
Columbus at Chicago. I'm going to take the Blackhawks at home.
I'm not even going to watch the game, but I'll take Blackhawks. I'm going to take the Blackhawks too.
San Jose at Dallas. Easy one. I'm taking Dallas at home. I'm assuming you are too.
Are you 100%?
And Pittsburgh at Calgary. I will take the Flames at home.
Oh. Saturday night, they're watching from Nova Scotia. I'm taking Pittsburgh to keep themselves in it. The sad thing is, the whole Sidney Crosby-Pittsburgh thing is getting sadder by the day. You know what I mean? Have
Sure.
a great player like that. What's going to go on? What are we going to do with him? But in any event, when we were just talking about what teams should be doing for the rest of the season when it looks precarious as we move into the NBA, I think that the Raptors, who have just had their first 3-game winning streak of all season, even though they lost to Dallas last night, should be concentrating on developing this winning culture that'll play forward for next season, which you may disagree with me because what do you want to do with that pick that San Antonio has some control over? Do you want to give it up this year? Do we give it up in the future? Or what are we going to do? Because we're in a weird place like Calgary. You know how Calgary is in hockey? The Raptors are in that place in basketball, so to speak. But I think the future looks brighter than it did a couple weeks ago when everybody wasn't sure the position how the Raptors were going to be or not be, so to speak. You know?
Yeah.
And since Scotty Barnes had that little walk off the court and people question him, his game I think that was a maturing moment for him because since that game, he has been unbelievable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? He's just shown, like, if this is my team, I should never have done that. We all learn to make mistakes, don't we? Or learn from our mistakes, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what you want to see out of your future franchise player, right?
Agreed, 100%.
But in regards to what you said about the Raptors draft pick, my worry is just that, like, I want to draft that guy and develop him as soon as possible. The Raptors need as much help as they can get, right?
Yes and no.
No?
I'm going to say it this way because, like, okay, let's look at the team really quickly right here, okay? I've heard a lot of people say, and I agree with it, let's start from the training camp on. Okay, that's how you develop your team. A lot of people think that the New York Knicks, the steal for the Raptors was quickly. He's playing some good ball. Give him a system for a year. R.J. Barrett is absolutely loving playing in Toronto. He's playing the best ball of his career so far. Then that trade-off has been so is Achua in New York, but that's another story. Okay, now, what we had at the beginning of the season is the guy that I'm going, how did we put this guy in shaving commercials and making him the face of the league, of the team too fast, which is Mr. Gordon Dick. But look what's happening. Grady Dick. Look what's happened.
Dick.
Look what's happened to him, as I was saying to that. This guy can shoot. Took him a little while to get going, but look at him in his he's shooting 50% from the three in the last 10 games. That's NBA shooting. So when you put all these components together, adding the fact that we are top 5 or top 7 in the league in the paint, and we play a modicum of defense, how many players are away from being a contending team or getting into the playoffs as a top 6 team next year? I don't think it's as far away as people are believing it to be.
Well, we need the next OG Anunoby.
That's why you hate giving those guys up. That was the biggest problem. But we got Quickly and Barrett out of it, and a draft pick. So maybe there's something along the way that's going to work.
Those guys need to improve on defense, though.
Okay, they do. I think Barrett is. I think Quickly will be a modicum of defense. He'll probably have some Spanish in him, like Ole at times. But we'll take everything else about him. He's not afraid of the big moment. He moves the ball around well. And he's good in the paint. So I'm telling the Raptors, kind of like my Montreal Canadiens, let's keep the winning culture. Let's not tank. But, I mean, if we can I'd say let's get rid of the piece now. Worry about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be hanging over our heads. What do we do next season? Are we having the same season we are having now? Or you're saying that, okay, we got a good piece this year and we'll give it to them next year. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's any greater prospects next year. But you never know in college basketball. That's the thing it is. With the guys in college.
Well, plus there's the international prospects too, right?
And the international prospects too. So there's a long way to go to look at all these things. So I'm just bringing up the fact that I'm trusting the Toronto Raptors to be a lot better than people say they're going to be. And I like Darko, the coach, for talking about the winning attitude, winning culture, and let's go forward. You know what I mean? Absolutely. All of the above. You know what I mean?
Serge, the proprietor in
How
the house.
How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Shout out there. We just talked about Montreal, and I said we just hate losing, correct, sir?
Yes.
We hate losing. In any event, we will be putting it down to we can't be talking about the Raptors forever due to the fact that they're going to be maybe inconsequential this year.
4.5 games back of the play-in, so.
With 20 games left, 22, correct, right? And our schedule is very, very tough. Then
I'm not counting them.
I'm not counting them in either. But let's keep the winning. My point is, go out there and win the games for the rest of the year. You know, you guys are young, you're new. Hopefully you're gonna play together for a few years. They got a core of 5 or 6 guys now. They're all under 25. When you think about it, Barrett, Quickly, Dick, Barnes. Who am I getting? Podol's over now because he'll be 26 or 27, right? But who am I missing? One more guy. All under 25. It's a good look for the team, and I think they're going to be better sooner. You know what I'm saying?
So. You want to bring up contenders and pretenders in the NBA?
I think it's about that time we started talking about it because everybody else around the country is saying who's doing what and who's doing that and who's doing whatever. So I thought I would simply just say, should we go to our power rankings? And that would just say everybody in my power ranking I consider a contender.
Fair enough.
Okay, but
let's get right into it then.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's changed a little bit for my power rankings, but number 5, the LA Clippers.
Okay.
Number 4, the Denver Nuggets. Number 3, OKC Thunder. Number 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves. And number 1, the Boston Celtics. Which is close to my last week, but I had the Clippers fall down because they seem to be having some problems of late. They're getting big. They're getting beat by the young guns. They got beat by OKC. They got beat by Minnesota, and they got beat by Dallas.
Yes.
All in their last 10 games, which is some people say they're sleeping to get in the playoffs, and Paul George missed 2 of those 3 games, for what it's worth.
So we'll take it with my power rankings. So my number 5, the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, okay.
My number 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, they're my number 6.
There you go.
Okay.
Number 3, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay.
Number 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And my number 1, the Boston Celtics.
That's a pretty close list. So let's just say we're going to go on them. So what we have to do, because we do have a little bit of a discrepancy here. So what you're saying is we're going to say pretender or contender. The Cleveland Cavaliers. You obviously believe that they're a contender, correct?
I think so, especially if they keep with that number 2 seed. Even if they're the number 3 seed in the East, I feel pretty confident that they can make it all the way to the conference final.
I think they got a shot, too, because if you look at the lineup now, like they've got some experience here. The backcourt, they say, is a little small, but it's one of the best in the NBA with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. Both guys are great. Then they got Mobley. Yep. They got Jared Allen, and who am I missing? One more guy. Anyways, if you look at their rotation from their top 5 or top 6, it's as good as anybody in the league. Oh, it's Struss, the guy the 3-point guy the other night, which was an amazing shot. But I think that they've been around the last couple of years, that they've been knocking at the door. Milwaukee, to me, well, we'll get to them in a second. I'm saying that the way they're playing, to me, the Cavs definitely, the house that happens agrees, they're a contender, not a pretender, okay? Next, I'm going to ask you, the Phoenix Suns, pretenders or contenders?
How healthy are they? How healthy are the Phoenix Suns? That's my question about them.
Okay, my question is this simple. If all 3 guys are playing all the time, I think they could be contenders. But I got to see this going down the stretch, because they've got some pieces like what changes a team and what's so highly on Boston is. Let's just see the changes that Boston made to make you better. You have to play some kind of defense in the NBA.
Sure.
Okay? What did they add? They added a Porzingis and a True Holiday. Enough said. When we get the other teams, do you have that type of those aren't the number 1 guys on the team, by the way. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So Phoenix has tried to do that with a Grayson Allen type, who I'm very high on. Same with Denver, where they've got Aaron Gordon. You need one of those guys. So I'm just saying that Phoenix needs Beal in all the time. Grayson Allen got to be your 3rd guys. I'm thinking that they're really just pretenders.
I mean, I think that's a little unfair, especially considering the Western Conference. Like, it's so stacked.
Mad.
You can lose in the first round and still be a contending team, right?
Yes.
I think that's the danger that Phoenix finds themselves in. I would not call them pretenders, though.
Okay, so I'm going to say I think they are, because we'll get there later. So let's talk about another team. What about the New York Knicks? Pretenders or contenders?
A couple weeks ago I was at contenders for sure, but now I'm not so sure. It's looking like if they're missing a couple guys, they could fall all the way back.
I'm hearing all of them are coming back. Marcus Robinson, Onobi, and Randall will all be ready for the playoffs. The thing is, where are they going to be in the standings by the time they get there, which could make a big difference in who they got to play in the first round.
Yeah, because if they're the number 4 or 5 seed, okay, you might get past the first round, but then you're playing Boston second round.
That's what I'm saying. And they had the opportunity to be a 2nd seed or a 3rd seed that would have kept them away from Boston until the conference finals. Yeah. But they still got enough games that they could make the move. You know what I mean? They're only 24. I go by the loss column. That's only 4 loss column to Cleveland. But
3 to Milwaukee.
3 to Milwaukee, which
Milwaukee's put a little bit of distance between them too. So
there you go. So I'm going to put it this much: is Milwaukee a pretender or a contender?
Oh, pretenders.
Okay, we agree on that. They've lost so much on defense that I don't know if Doc can turn them around. You know, those key pieces, like they lost the Holiday. The guy like that. Portis isn't playing the same. Middleton, I don't know what happened to him. But their defense has been better the last 5 games. But I think that what they're going to do is they're just going to be one of those run-of-the-mill teams in the East. If they win a series or they do it, but once they get up against Boston, they're going to go home. So to me, I'm putting them in the pretender role.
Yeah, I don't think they get past the second round. I think that they're going to have a hard time getting past the first round, to be honest.
Okay, so I got two more I want to ask you about before we get out of here. One of them is, are the Dallas Mavericks a pretender or a contender?
I think they have too much going against them. I like Luka, but I'm going to put them in the pretender column.
Sacramento, pretender or contender?
I put them in the same category as Dallas.
I think that Sacramento can be a contender because I didn't realize how many injuries they had for a while. But they play mad defense, and they got DeAndre Fox. So what I'm picking is if they end up in the second round of the playoffs, don't be surprised. They could be a contender.
They got to climb up the ladder, though. So
they've been playing better. You know what I mean? Even I was going to say they had a better run because they got lost 2 in a row. Last time I looked, they were like 8-4, and their last year 8-2 and 10, and now they're suddenly 4-6. So maybe contradicting myself, but they play tough. They're strong. They're good. So we're gonna have to go and wait and see. But like you said, the West is going to be a dogfight, and you know what's going to be really cool? Like I said, it's going to be 10 days before we get to talk about the NBA again. If you've seen the sked, what I look like, the difference right now, especially in the West. You know what I mean? If you look at that.
Oh, the number 5 to number 10 seed
I'm
are
gonna
so
say,
close.
You know what I mean? And the Clippers have to make sure they maintain their balance so they don't fall back. Because look at them, suddenly they're
I think they're closer to the top than they are to the
Oh,
rest
I
of
think
that
it
pack,
is too,
so.
but they were 5-5, and I think they've just got into one of those mid-season or like late in the season dog days. They should stay there, but you're right. From 5 to 8 or 5 to 9, I don't think
even 5 to 10.
Yeah, I think that the Golden State suddenly won a whole bunch of games. Are we really going to say Golden State's going anywhere? They're 8-2 in their last 10. Great.
I mean, they're going to be up against the wall because, like,
and you know
they're
what?
going to be in that play-in, especially like from the 9-10. That's not the greatest spot to be in. Can they climb out of that? Sure, but then, well, you're probably just. I mean, I guess maybe against an inexperienced Minnesota and OKC team, maybe you pull off an upset.
I think Minnesota's ready to show up. OKC, I think, will be the one with the inexperience that might get them, but they got Shea.
I think either of them have question marks.
Which comes down to this, pretenders and contenders, now that we're talking about it. There's big talk in the NBA about Embiid was supposed to be repeating as a MVP candidate, but he's not, obviously, because we don't even think he can play for the rest of the year.
He wants to come back, but...
well, it'd be better for his health, maybe if he did. And I hope he does, because it's too bad, because he's been playing some of the best basketball of his career. However, now it gets back to the talk about MVP, and it's something about I talked about when we talked about the NHL. We should respect greatness, correct?
Sure.
So if somebody wins the MVP 10 times in a row, it's because 10 times they were good. We shouldn't get fatigued with greatness. So the question is, and I love Shea, I think it really boils down to now because LA is falling off a bit, and I really think that Kawhi should have got more love. But there's really only a couple of guys that you think that can go for the NBA MVP right now. And one of the criterions I like to look at is if you're the best player on the best team, shouldn't you get some love for MVP?
Oh, sure.
I hate the Boston Celtics, but if you don't have Jason Tatum in your MVP talk, which I haven't heard enough of, heard all the other guys.
He's top 10 in scoring.
Oh, but he's top 10 in everything, plus he plays defense. He's just unbelievable. And a lot of times like, he's sitting down at the end with some numbers because they're crushing teams. So he gets to sit down. So if you want to do like that,
sure,
adjust his numbers for whatever, that just tells you what Boston is. However, if the Joker from Denver wins again, I'm not going to say no, because look at his numbers once again with the triple-triples and not triple-doubles. But not only that, Joker, if you don't like him as an individual, like more that we're seeing more of his personality, how can you not like this guy? And his Robin is Jamal Murray, who would normally be a Batman on any other team, but that's why you got a team that wins. Somebody that's very happy to play their role, and Murray is the best Robin in the league. Bar none. Agreed?
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. We're going to have to wait for another 10 days before we, rake over the coals and find out who's risen to the top, because I'm watching a lot of basketball teams and I see flaw in Phoenix. That's why I'm calling him a bit of a pretender, as opposed to those dog fighters that got everybody back in Sacramento. And I'm wondering right now, if you look, even though Phoenix is above there, Sacramento's only got one in the loss column. So it's 33-25. The Clippers are 34-24. I think they play each other twice in the next 10 days, or at least once in the next 10 days. Remember what we're talking about on this show, because I'm very interested to see what it's going to look like when we come back next weekend.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
One last thing I want to get to for the NBA. Have you seen Indiana's jersey sponsor?
No.
They have a QR code on there. I thought that was hilarious.
I heard about it, but I haven't. Yeah, and I heard Minnesota's doing the same.
You know what? If you're the person that's advertising, like, why not? I'm surprised no one thought of that.
2024. Okay,
everyone's got a phone.
News.
Just put your camera to it. You get the link automatically.
I think
we should start doing that in the house that happens.
Wait till we get our shirts on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But I thought it was too. I think Minnesota's the other one that started doing it. Because when I first heard about the idea was a guy on the Houston Texans who was trying to get a clothing line. That's where they started coming up. And C.J. Stroud came on one of the shows, and he had the outfit on with the barcode.
Okay.
So I know it came there. But the great idea for marketing in 2024.
Yep.
Any way to sell the brand, baby. Any way to sell the brand. You know what I mean?
Yep. I guess this is the closing segment of the show. We just wanted to give our respects and rest in peace to actor-comedian Richard Lewis, passed away of a heart attack yesterday.
God bless Richard Lewis. Very funny man.
Was tremendous on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
100%. He did some stuff back in the day that he did too. He was just one of those cool characters that was funny. Mm-hmm. God bless him, and condolences to his family.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
No, I just think that I should get to this, okay?
So it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everyone in the world's favorite segment. It's the Gospel According to Cruz.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to get on a little bit of a tangent here because I'm going to say something we really don't get involved with too much here in the House That Happens, but I want to be able to say this first. If politicians should not have the need to define the moral clarity that is necessary to achieve a more peaceful and secure world. And if they need to do this before they get into office, then their seats should be vacated and replaced immediately by someone who understands this, because your job as a public servant is to know the clarity of things like financial responsibility, moral turpitude, and a service to the people that have elected you, correct? Okay, so the people in Toronto who have been elected here, and our mayor, who I'll get to in a minute, is on a pass the buck thing, has suddenly come up with a situation we've got to talk about, and that is the World Cup in Toronto. Do you know that we are now over budget by $80 million since we started doing this? Like they said, they are going to be $300 million for us to bring the World Cup games to Toronto, and suddenly it jumped to $380. Now, the same people that are giving you those numbers said that we'd be able to generate $304 million in GDP for the economic situation in Toronto by spending that $300 million, which would be a plus of $40 million, right? But now suddenly they're saying that the GDP would be $392 million brought in from the 340 because of inflation. So what am I supposed to believe when we have something with, what would you say? I'm starting to believe things like this are a vanity project for the city, because they're saying, let's put Toronto on the city if we have World Cup games, because then we look like we're a world-class city. I don't think we need that. We have a film festival. We have Illuminati. We have
Illuminati.
Not Illuminati. I mean, whatever that thing is. You know, we've got enough festivals in here that really shouldn't matter, okay? But in any event, what I want to get at, and I want to thank Jerry Agar for one of the guys that put up the numbers that made me show this, is this. We've had the highest rate of property tax in the GTA in the history of the city of Toronto. Olivia Chow is now saying that decision was made before she got in there, and it's very convenient for her to say now she doesn't know if she would agree with us sponsoring World Cup games if she knew the expenses were going to be this high. I think that's a complete lie coming out of another politician, because in the history of our country, there's nobody that's ever mounted a world-class event like the Olympics, Pan American Games, or anything on a level that's ever made money in Canada. They haven't. It's always fallen back to the taxpayer. The only guy I want to thank is Doug Ford, our premier, who put in his $100 million, and now that they're coming back to the trough, Doug's saying no. Because then it goes to the federal level, which makes me go, somebody in Flin Flon, Manitoba, or Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, part of their taxpaying dollars is going to pay for a World Cup extravaganza in Toronto. Wait. I'm not done. When you do decide to put this money up for a product that's supposed to generate GDP, bring people into the city and make money, you don't even know what games you're getting. So now we're going to be putting on, which costs an extra $80 million. And you know what that $80 million was added to? So we could get one knockout game in the World Cup. Do we know what one knockout game is going to be? No. So it's $80 million it's going to cost me for one knockout game in Toronto, and I don't even know I'm going to make money. When you threaten to decreased the police funding in my city when crime is going up? When you said that you don't know if you can shovel all my driveways, you used to be able to shove it because the city's in debt. So if the city's in that much debt, why are we going to continue to add debt onto debt when number one is you don't even know what product you're going to get in the city, and you spend $80 million on another game you don't even know if you're going to be able to finance for the benefit of the city? To me, this is insane. And unless we're going to be getting the World Cup championship game, which we don't, which is going to go into Jerry's place, I'm going to really shock you people.
Go to New York.
Or New York, yeah. One of the big cities. So I'm going to put it this way. Let's talk about what brings money to your city. So I'm going to have World Cup or something else that goes on in the city. I've decided I want the 6 nights of Taylor Swift at the Dome instead of the 6 World Cup games. And I'm going to tell you why. It's still going to put 300,000 seats in the city of Toronto. The economy for the cottage industry that people are coming into town for Taylor Swift is going to be just the same as the money that's coming in when they're going to be coming to a World Cup game. Agreed? Except,
arguably more.
Okay, you got it. So let's go to this. Taylor Swift is not FIFA. Taylor Swift is not freaking trying to extort us for more money for security, hotel rooms, for cars, all this stuff that's jacking up the original price to have World Cup in Toronto so when we don't even know the product. So Taylor Swift, welcome to Toronto. If you want to do 12 games, 12 nights at the Dome, that's great. But as much as we want a World Cup event in Toronto of this level, I think this is where we're going to get cheated because we're not going to be knowing what product we're going to accept. Say it's the World Cup. For example, I don't know the components, but if it's this country and this country, does it automatically tell you that Toronto is going to get this many people in the house? You hope so, but is it guaranteed?
No.
No. They're thinking about the BMO. I'm glad the infrastructure they're saying is not going to be as much because they're just going to adjust BMO big enough for the event and then tear it back down when the thing is over. Does that make it a world-class facility? People say that FIFA's going to tell you you're not going to get the next time because you're going to need a better arena. Well, don't worry about that because when Doug Ford gets reelected and we put the football arena up here in North Etobicoke, they can play the next World Cup here and we'll have the championship in Toronto, and that's the gospel according to Cruz.
Okay. What a rant.
I just hate it when our taxpayer money gets blown away on so many things and the city's in debt. Ask your folks what we've done here, and we're going to add it on. Like, I think it's great that we're getting the World Cup games here.
Sure.
The popularity of the sport in the city is insane. I get it. But at what cost? And the thing that gets me is they're not telling us which games we're getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're going to get the armpit of games. You watch. We're not going to get any of those big Argentina against so-and-so games. We're going to get you know what I'm saying? And is that fair? Is that what we paid for? We just got to hope that the World Cup is that famous and that big that it's going to flood Toronto and give us Taylor Swift money. Agreed?
Yeah, I'm worried that the tickets are going to be too expensive, though, but we'll see.
That's the whole thing behind it.
Yeah.
Keep adding it up. Now, if they say it's already gone up by now, this is 2 years away, bro. What's going to add on between this?
Oh, I know. It's just going to keep going up.
That's what scares me the most. So Toronto, we're known around the world. Why do you think they gave us the extra game? That's why. You know, that extra, because I heard a lot of people say, well, when do we get how come we don't get a knockout game? Because when the deal first went down, we didn't have a knockout game. And then suddenly it came, you get a knockout game, but that's an extra $80 million.
Yeah.
Extortion from
quarterfinal, I believe it is, though.
I hope it is.
I think it's a quarterfinnl.
Then we deserve that. If we're going to take money for everything else. I mean, it pushes Vancouver off the map because Toronto's getting the better play than
Vancouver isn't. Are they even hosting games?
Yes, they are. It's
because Edmonton didn't get it. That's right.
That's right. So Vancouver's got the other end, so we're going to have to wait to see what happens. So anyways, it's going to probably be a good summer, but I'm just reminding people, be careful what you wish for because I don't want it to affect the fact that there's not going to be a snowplow coming down my street in the middle of January of a snowstorm because we spent money on rebuilding BMO to keep FIFA happy.
Right.
Got it?
That's the gospel according to Cruz. Anything else you want to
add? No, not really. I'm just saying that we won't be back for about 10 days. I think it's very unique that we coincidentally had to record on the February 29th, 2024. By the way, by the time we come back, I'll be officially a senior. Doesn't matter the date. I'll be officially a senior, okay?
You can get the senior discount at the Shoppers
Yes,
Drug
I'm
Mart.
starting to work on that already. Yeah. It's been amazing. Anything else you'd like to add?
That's just about it.
Once again, I got to tell you, everybody that's watching, everyone that's listening, thank you very much. Our producer across the table from me, I can't say, Mr. Andrew Milani, you're doing an amazing job. All I get is great reviews from the people that I know that are listening to you.
That's enough about me. It's about the listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Keep coming back. Give us a like. Give us a shout out. We know we love it here. And
there
that'll
you go.
just about do it for us here at the House That Happens. Hi, my name's Andrew Milani.
And my name is Cruz. And you know what we do, right, bro?
We keep the
vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.